Come and dream with me.
Hello and welcome to What Do You Want to Watch, the Explosion of Wax Premier Media podcast. Every fortnight we get together to talk about movies, TV, and online content and help you answer the question, do we care about the Golden Globes anymore? Seems like it. I'm your host, Ashley Hobley. Joining me today, Dylan Blight.
I mean, I gotta be completely honest, I forgot they were on, and I was home, so I was like just doing something else, and I saw on Twitter it popped up, and I was like, oh, I could flick that on in the background, I guess. But and then I flicked it on, and then I just started paying more attention to it, so I don't know.
But I thought we cancelled the Golden Globes.
Yeah, I guess we did, but then, like...
But then they hired a black host, and it's all fine.
It was okay, yeah?
Shout out to Derek Carmichael. I enjoyed his opening monologue, we'll say, watching it later. And reading some of the comments about it, very interesting.
Not everyone loved it.
Not everybody loved it, including the president of Hollywood Foreign Press.
Yep.
Who, according to reports, had to be consoled. Hilarious. Alright, on today's episode, we'll be talking about what's in our watch history, covering a tiny bit of film news, because this week we're also going to be talking about our Trakt year in review, give us some thumbs to trailers, and doing this week's top 3. It is going to be a Mad Myth episode because we haven't done one of these in over a month. So
whoa, there's
a lot of content to talk about. So let's just pump out all the stuff that we've talked about elsewhere. Starting with...
Spend an hour talking about stuff we talked about elsewhere.
Starting with Avatar: The Way of Water. Yes, believe it or not, that came out after our last episode of What Do You Want to Watch? Of course, the James Cameron sequel to 2009's Avatar, in which we return to Pandora. There's more Na'vi. They're in the water this time. They're space whales. Well, whales well, they're not really space whales because they're just whales.
Not space whales. That's Star Wars.
Space to us, I guess. But yeah, Dylan, what do you think of Avatar: Way of Water?
It was good. It was better than the first one. I'm aboard 3D as long as it's just only been whipped out for these Avatar movies. Otherwise, I don't care about it. So I guess that's a positive. Otherwise, yeah, it's a cinematic spectacle, and if you don't watch it at cinemas, I feel like there's no point in watching it at all. It's like watch it at cinema or don't. Or else it's probably just boring at home. That's how I feel about that movie.
Yeah, I agree as well. I think it's a beautiful movie. I'm sure it will look alright at home, but you know, it being on the massive screen, seeing the crazy stuff they do, having all these CGI people underwater is crazy. How do you do that? Yeah, I think the story is probably more interesting. You've got a whole new cast of characters to get attached to. Stephen Lang is in it again, surprisingly. And it all builds to a fantastic final act, which is a lot of fun.
To be fair, I think last time we recorded these, we were talking about the trailer or whatever, or we did the spoiler cast for Avatar, I can't remember, but I was like, oh, there's a running rumor online that I've seen that people reckon that person in the trailer crushing his skull, Stephen Lang's character, and he's back as an Avatar. Guess what?
He's back at Avatar.
Yeah, there you
go. So, if you haven't already seen it, and there's a pretty good chance you would have, because it very quickly made over $1 billion. It's already up to 6th highest all time, I want to say. So
we're getting more.
Why do you think it's just made so much money so quickly? It's like,
didn't
especially when everything has it.
It had an okay start, and then much like the last one, I feel like it was that word of mouth that everyone's like, yeah, it's good. Watch it in cinema. Everyone went to the cinema.
It's true. But yeah, don't bet against James Cameron. He just makes bangers. Or he just makes money. So
are you going to go watch Titanic?
No.
I think I will if it shows.
Yeah?
I've never watched Titanic on the big screen.
On the big screen?
No. I'd like to watch Titanic.
Maybe,
4K restoration in 3D. I can get down.
Next, The Last of Us. Well, by the time this is coming out, the second episode's been released, but the premiere of The Last of Us, released on Binge here in Australia, HBO in America. Of course, this is the adaptation of the beloved Naughty Dog survival zombie game, starring Pedro Pascal, Bella Ramsey. Just a fantastic first episode. as people who are familiar with the games, it's like they did a fantastic job being very expanding the world, or expanding the story in certain sections. Yeah, Pedro's great, Bella's great, Anatol's really good, Nico Parker's fantastic in the part she's in. Yeah, they kind of set up the series really well. It looks like they've put a ton of money into it. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So yeah, Dylan, what are your thoughts on The Last of Us?
I got my parents to watch it. I didn't tell them it was based on a video game, and then to the opening credits where it said based on a PlayStation game, and I was like, well, okay. And then I felt like that was a little bit like, oh, this is probably going to be bad now, and they really liked it, so that's my review.
That's just if you want to hear Dylan's actual thoughts and not his parents' thoughts,
well, I feel like it's a
Platinum
point.
Explosion, the number one PlayStation podcast in the Oceanias, and we'll be doing weekly, spoiler discussions of the episodes. So yeah, go check that out on Platinum Explosion. Weird. Next up, we did a spoiler cast for Megan, the surprise hit of January. Of course, this is the Blumhouse Atomic Robot, I want to say.
Yep, that's it.
Co-picture in which a young girl's parents have died. She goes to live with her aunt, and her aunt has been building a robot that's meant to be like a companion to the child and protect it and stuff. And then shit goes wrong. What do you think of Megan?
Yeah, I think I gave it a 6. I think, right? Yeah, it's okay. I'm not behind the hype that everyone else is. I think in general that there's a lot of really good stuff in here, but it's just a bit of a mixed bag. And I'm down for a sequel to hopefully hone
It's been confirmed a sequel's coming.
Yes, 100%. So I'm down for Megan 2.0 in 2025, I think it was. So yeah, I just feel like it was a bit of a mixed bag. It wasn't particularly scary. It didn't go enough on either being a comedy horror or a like serious horror. So I just felt like it was trying to do both and didn't do either as good as it could have if it committed a little bit in one more direction.
Yeah, I think it was just like a pretty fun action horror movie, horror comedy. That was probably more on the comedy side, I guess. It got kind of horrific towards the end, but yeah, I thought there's some interesting ideas in there. Ronnie Cheng, our boy, is in it. It was very funny throughout. But yeah, the phenomenon around Megan is like very interesting to watch, and goes to show like viral campaigns still work, and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'd be interested to see where they would take a second movie. They obviously very much plant the seeds for what that could be and how that could happen. So yeah, I think it's worth checking out. I'll be intrigued. How will they do Megan 2? Will they, because obviously they got a like young 12-year-old actress to play Megan. Are they just going to recast?
I mean, not
Is
the
she
voice,
going to be older?
right? The voice actress is older.
No, but the like person like in the suit.
Yeah. Well, they confirmed the Alison Williams and the girl, like not the Megan girl, but the other girl are both signed on to return. So
that makes sense. But yeah. And then we've got a bunch of reviews over at explosionhour.com. Koala Man came out on Disney Plus all at once, which I was surprised by. Of course, this is the story about an Australian man living in the fictional town of Dapto, who wants to help his community and does so by being Koala Man, who is just a man with a koala cowl that he wears. No superpowers, no general abilities. Just, a guy being a guy. But this is a weird, fucked up Australia where weird shit happens every single week. So, yeah. I think you gave it a 6, I want to say off the top of my head.
I can't remember. I feel like I gave it a bit higher than that. Come on.
Okay, 7.
There you go.
Maybe.
I feel like maybe it's a 7. Either way, I quite enjoyed it. I felt like it was a fun, what is it, like 6 or 8 episodes?
8 episodes,
not particularly long. It's somewhere between, as terrible as it is to say given certain news, but it's obviously somewhere between like a Rick and Morty and, I can't remember what else I tied into, but it's like sort of in that adult animation sort of thing. But the reason I was excited for it originally was because actually this Michael, the creator Michael Cusack, I think that's how you say his name, Australian dude who I used to watch a bunch of his shorts and stuff he did on YouTube back in the day, and then he's done another series, and he's the original Koala Man thing was like a short on this Australian ABC series years and years ago. So like that was the reason I was sort of in, and although this first season sort of redoes the storyline from that original pitch, which is fine. I think it's very fun. It'll either like hit your humor or it won't, and if it won't, you're gonna hate it. And if it works, it'll work because yeah, it's got wild. Like it does that whole animation show thing where it starts out normal and then next second there's like talking giant plants and like he literally gets like kangaroos like on the side of the road in one episode. Like he pulls over to help it, and then they all jump out of nowhere and fucking rob him and take his car. And, like there's some weird stuff. There's basically an episode where they apply the Wiggles of like raping and keeping kids fucking hostage. So I mean, like it's yeah. So there's a whole
eating children for the musical abilities.
Yeah, the musical abilities. So like yeah, it's also very Australian in that. A lot of the jokes rely on like Australian pop culture references, which makes me wonder how well this will work on Hulu and stuff like that. Yeah, where
it'll be interesting because obviously there's a lot of cuss words that we use here and that aren't necessarily commonly used elsewhere.
Yeah, there's C-bombs and everything in this.
Yes. Yeah. I did appreciate there's so many like different Australian things. They talk about show bags in one episode. I'm like, that can't be I can't.
They're talking about show bags and being like, they used to be so good and now they're fucking shit. Like, I'm like, but literally a conversation I've had. Like,
and like bin day, it's like so. Like,
and that's a big part of the first episode. Like, just how important that bin day is.
Yeah, and handball. It's like, I don't think that's an American thing.
I don't think so either.
So, also, Hugh Jackman plays Big Red,
head of like some
Big Jeff,
big
company, the prime minister, no, the mayor.
Oh no, I think is he the mayor?
I think so.
Like, he's just the dude in town.
Yeah, he's the big honcho in town. Yeah. I'm pretty sure he's the mayor, and he used to be like a Steve Irwin type.
Steve Irwin type, and he had his own TV show and stuff. Yeah.
So, I enjoyed it. It was a good time. I'd be interested to see a second season. There are some really nice moments. And then you also checked out one of the most despised pieces of animation released in years, Velma.
Yeah, I think I gave this a 6.
You gave it a 6.5.
Oh, there you go.
I believe, from what I saw before, it is currently sitting at a 1.5 on IMDb.
Yeah, user score. Not like
user score. Yeah.
People hate this show. I mean, it's not great. It's not bad either. I like, so in my review, I say, so I only reviewed the premiere. The premiere was the first 2 episodes. I hated it for the first, like half the first episode. I thought it was very try hard because it's basically, so it's Velma from Scooby-Doo, but it's like an adult show. And the first episode, you haven't watched any of this, have you?
No, I've not.
No. So the first episode starts with like Daphne, that's it, right? Daphne? But
Daphne's the redhead.
Yeah, the other Scooby-Doo person, right? Yeah. So Daphne's like because it's set when they're in school and everything. Like Daphne's like in the girls' locker room, and you got a bunch of naked girls like fighting, and Velma's like in there, and then she's trying to solve a crime, and but no, she doesn't want to solve a crime because she has this backstory where she thinks her solving crime led to her mother like leaving, and so she's trying not to do it. And then you've got other characters like. Fred is like the most idiotic, dumbass character, rich boy, white dude. There's some like wild character directions in this, and for like the first half of the first episode, I just thought it was absolutely terrible. I stuck around for the second because I'm like towards the end of the first, I'm like, all right, this like it's bad but not terrible at this stage. And then by the time I got to the second episode, I sort of enjoyed the second one. I guess that's why I ended up coming around to the 6.5. The second episode was just this. Where Daphne and Velma they set up a romance between the two of them, I guess, and you get a whole episode where they're spending time together trying to do several things, but also revolves around Daphne trying to get Velma to help her sell drugs. like it's some weird shit happening, but like the character stuff was working for me. Some of the jokes worked for me, not all of them. Like the sort of this is a very hit and miss comedy show, but animation wise, like it's actually quite good. Character designs are fun. Like, it's a very bright show for the most part. There's, it doesn't look like every other animation. Like, if you want to talk about Koala Man, it looks like Rick and Morty, which looks like a million other, like that type of animation. I feel is like just everywhere. So at least it looks different. So yeah, but everyone hates it. I thought it was okay. So
it's 59% on Metacritic with a 0.4.
Yeah, so if I'm at a 6.5, yeah, and a 59 is a Metacritic. That's I'm not too far over.
But yeah, I don't think I've ever seen like a cartoon property so quickly hated. I don't know.
Remember She-Ra?
And they can't. I mean, even that, like, people enjoyed that.
Yeah, but
that had a vocal audience that liked it.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, it's like people are turning on Mindy Kaling and everything. It's kind of interesting to watch, I guess, in some regard. You also watched the documentary, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
Yes, this is a very popular book. I feel like, surely you would have seen this book around, but yeah, it's like a very popular. It was like huge when it came out, and
it's got fuck in the title.
Stores, and yeah, it's got exactly. It kind of stands out on the
bookshelf,
the bookshelf there. So, but this is like, I thought this movie. I went into this thinking it would be good. It's not. I think I gave it like a 4. The problem with this is instead of expanding upon either the ideas in the book in the multiple ways you could explore the ideas in the book, like have discussions with different people, like have people talk about why they think the ideas expressed in the book are bad, like talk about people who think it's like a very positive sort of mentality, because the book sort of just talks about, like, I don't know what I can't remember what he officially described it, but it's just like the idea of subtle art not giving a fuck basically boils down to, like, you can't control life. There's just maybe you like the dude talks. I can't remember his name now. What's his name? Do you have it open? The author and the dude, Andy, I think.
Not, but I can quickly.
He like talks about how he spent like the majority of his younger years like getting in trouble, and he like lived this what he thought was carefree life, but then he realized. Mark Manson. He spent all these years doing that, and then he thought that his not giving a fuck attitude was like. But he realized his attitude of not giving a fuck was really he was giving too many fucks, and he was trying to like portray this certain like persona and whatever else, and like it just talks about like, I don't know, like it's the ideas for the most part I'm all on board with, but the way this documentary is I quotation documentary, because really it's just a TED talk, like it's him talking to the camera, cut with footage. A lot of it just seems like B-roll that's been brought off like Shutterstock or something like that, and I just don't think it makes for a particularly interesting documentary. You're much better off just like listening to the Audible, reading the book. Like I just feel like it's a hugely missed opportunity to expand upon the book in a different medium instead of just doing the exact same thing, not as well in a different medium for the sake of doing it. Like, yeah.
All right. And you also wrote a review for Guy Ritchie's latest film, Operation Ruse de Gros, the film that was delayed almost 12 months.
Yeah, so for people who don't know, because I guess it's like, was this movie delayed because it's that bad? No, they were going to release it, and then they delayed it last second because 2 of the bad guys in it are Ukrainian. So
I'm sure that's something they fixed, right?
No, there's still bad guys in it. So they just delayed it by a year. And I guess the war's over now. I don't know. I don't know if we decide that how it works, but the movie's fine, I guess. I don't think it's like particularly good. I can't remember what I gave it. Probably like
5.5.
I don't know. There you go. I was about to say 6 at the highest, so that adds up. The best person in it's Audrey Plaza. I kind of wish the movie was just starring her, and then they did like the same sort of plot, but it was just starring her, because Jason Statham's just doing Jason Statham, which in this movie I'm just sort of bored by, especially when Audrey Plaza is just the most interesting person on screen every time she's on screen. Josh Hartnett's really good. He's not in it as much. Like, he's in it a lot, but he's like, obviously, like, it's Jason Statham's movie, so. Hugh Grant's amazing. He's just fucking, he's eating it up. The British gangster accent he's doing. He's a lot of fun. But yeah, the action's like whatever. The pacing's like weird. The movie ended and I was like, what the fuck, is that how the movie ends? So, 5.5. It's perfectly watchable once, I guess.
All right. Let's move into stuff we were talking about for the first time, I guess, kind of. Babylon, the latest film by Damien Chazelle, following a bunch of characters during the transition in Hollywood between silent films and sound films during the 1920s. Obviously, coming from amazing pedigree, all of Damien Chazelle's films have been highly regarded. This one underperformed drastically at the box office and has had incredibly mixed reviews, with people being at both ends of the spectrum very strongly. Dylan, what are your feelings on Babylon?
I love it. So good. I can't wait to watch it again. It is a spectacle. It's fucking the best of both worlds, I feel, because not only is it absolutely wild, and I think about some scenes in that movie and I'm like, what the fuck? And it's got some crazy, like, well put together comedy sequences, like the where they're filming the stuff at the start of the movie and then they just cut to a dude dying with a pole for him. Like, I mean, like, that's there are some wildly funny, like, ridiculous scenes. But then by the time you get to, I couldn't stop thinking, like, I remember driving home and the ending of that movie, I was just like, couldn't stop thinking about it. Like, I feel like it just does everything. Like, it's just, it left me like, just even for days after, just like, I couldn't stop thinking about the ending and just like sort of digesting it, thinking about it. But it's also just has some wildly crazy funny scenes in it. I think all the characters are great. I don't think it's nihilistic or whatever people have sort of accused it of being, and like sort of Damien Chazelle's like changed his La La Land. I do not get that at all. The music is phenomenal. I have been listening to the soundtrack pretty much on repeat since I watched it. I cannot get away from listening to it. I mean, I drove up to a shop after work today and before coming here to record this, and I was just banging out the soundtrack just then, and I still can't stop listening to it. Costume designs is insane. The cinematography and work, especially when you're putting together those scenes at the start of the movie where everyone's dancing around that house, that's like insanity. I don't know. I think it's a fantastic movie. Absolutely fantastic.
I enjoyed it. I didn't love it as much as you did, but I thought it was a interesting movie. It's set during a very interesting time. I think a lot of the characters are quite engrossing, and then to kind of the ending is very interesting. It's like it kind of makes it a retelling, makes the events of a certain film as if it's a retelling of the events of this film.
Without spoiling everything, the movie sort of, it almost like, it's funny because originally he was going to have, I read, like, originally he was going to have real people in this movie. And it's like real actors, I mean, like, based on real actors, like. And they changed it and like made them his own so he could play around with them a bit more. But yeah, by the time you get to the end, it's like, it sort of like sits in, but the thing is, the character Brad Pitt's inspired by is the person who did end up like being the inspiration for Singing in the Rain anyway. So it doesn't really matter. Like, it's sort of, it goes full circle, although he's changed the character's name.
It's funny because it kind of feels like the Northman in comparison to Macbeth, where, you know, Northman's based on Hamlet, the actual original legend that Hamlet was inspired by. Yeah. So it kind of works in that way. But yeah, I thought it was really interesting. Diego Calva, who I would argue is kind of the main character, is very good.
Yeah, he's the main character. Yeah.
You know, Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie's great. Jean Smart, she gets a great like few moments in there. And Tobey Maguire shows up and is super creepy. They're like creepy, they like shoehorn like a solid 15-minute horror movie in here. So, you know, go into it knowing that, I guess. Yes, but some of the shit, I don't know how they filmed it, you know? Well, I know how they filmed the shit, but...
I mean, yeah, the movie starts with someone getting shit all over, so...
Yeah.
There's that. I mean, there's some interesting people that show in this movie. Like, you have, like, Flea's in it, and... what's my call? I'm trying to think of her name now. Eric Roberts is the dad or whatever.
Eric Roberts, yeah, Samara Weaving.
I'm trying to think of it Samara Weaving, which is very
Spike
funny.
Jones is in this movie.
Spike Jones is in this movie as the German director do. But yeah, I was trying to think of his second wife. Oh, Catherine Watson's like the Brad Pitt's like character's like second or third wife.
Olivia Wilde's in this for like
40
seconds.
5 seconds. Yeah. there's some people.
Yeah, craziness. So, definitely recommend checking out Babylon. Dylan, you finally got an opportunity to see The Fabelmans.
Yeah, so The Fabelmans is...
Speaking of movies about Hollywood.
Yeah, movies
kind
about
of.
Hollywood. Sort of like one of my favorite genres. Fablemans is Steven Spielberg's childhood story, but he's just like, instead of calling the character Steve, he's changed all names. But for all purposes, and I think he's even said as much. Like it basically is like, it's not like based on it or inspired by, I should say. Like it is basically just, it is him, but he's just changed character. Yeah, it's very good. It's just very, like, it's a Steven Spielberg classic. I feel like it's what he does best, which is just tell stories, even if they're not of the most epic proportions. And it's one that's like obviously very personal to him, from both the family aspect, because that's what the movie mostly deals with. The sort of what happens and grows to be sort of the gap between his mum and dad, especially when one's like pushing him to be more creative and the other one's like not against it, but more like his dad's like, it's a hobby. It's not like you need to get like a proper career. This isn't a real thing you can do. But yeah, as the kid who's basically, I can't remember the main kid's name anyway, Steve, the kid Fableman. He, like, as he learns to discover and love movies and starts filming them with his friends, you get all those really, like, I love it, like scenes in movies where kids are running around filming things and whatever else. Like, that's good. I remember, like, you know, in Super 8, that's like some of the most fun sort of stuff like that as well. Yeah, it's beautifully shot. You got this fantastic cinematography throughout of it. It has this like phenomenal, the way the movie ends. I think people is probably like, it's hard to explain because it's literally the movie ends. I don't know if this is a spoiler, but the poster is the last shot of the movie. But like how the 10 seconds in the lead up to that, or even like the last 5 to 10 minutes of the movie, is just like this sort of perfect culmination of everything that leads up to this one final shot that I think is brilliant. So yeah, I expect Spielberg will probably win an Oscar for this. So I put it.
Yeah, obviously, I really enjoyed the film. It's fantastic. Really, you know, obviously, telling of Spielberg's life. There is a, there's a scene like probably halfway along where he has like his first girlfriend, which is some of the funniest stuff I think I've seen in a film this year. So
when he goes to her house for the first time, yeah, that's fine.
You know, and she tries to convert him.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Very funny. So yeah, check out The Fablemans in cinemas now. I watched Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. It came out Boxing Day. It is the best animated film of 20. Well, it's pretty close.
Film of 2022. Yeah.
Yeah, 2022. Yeah, but you know, I enjoyed it a little bit more than I did enjoy Pinocchio. But this is obviously the second Puss in Boots movie, which is crazy. I think the first one came out.
It was like 2011, I think.
Yeah, it's been a long time. It's been in development hell for a long time. In this one, Puss in Boots loses its 8th life. It is now on its ninth and final life. And he sets out on a quest to retrieve a fallen star so he can wish for his 9 lives to come back. Meanwhile, he is being chased by a mysterious wolf character, and also having to contend with rivals for the wishing star, including Softy Kitty Paws, I want to say, former lover, Goldilocks and the Three Bears, voiced by Florence Pugh as Goldilocks, Olivia Colman and Ray Winstone as the parents, and Samson Kayo as the baby bear, and John Mulaney, who plays Jack Horner, who hates all magical creatures and is hoarding like magical items for himself because he wants to wish that he was the only person with any magical abilities in this fairy tale world. Fantastic. It goes way harder and deeper than it probably ever needs to. It's in a very interesting animation style. It obviously influenced by something like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Looks very different to the previous films. You don't have to have seen any of the films in the franchise, but you know, Shrek does make a flashback appearance.
I've seen I've seen someone post on Twitter the shot of Shrek and was like, I think they said it was like, here's Shrek's first cinematic appearance in however many years it was, or something like that.
But yeah, there's obviously the film's been doing the rounds on Twitter and social media with like all the people loving certain elements of it. But yeah, I would recommend going and checking it out. And you know, it does kind of set up like more movies in this franchise potentially. So yeah,
does he just get more lives like they did to Doctor Who?
No.
Okay.
Maybe. But yeah, that's Puss in Boots, The Last Wish. Dylan, talk to us about Bump Season 3.
Man, what Bump continues to be one of my favourite shows, and it's like the best thing every Boxing Day where I can look forward to a new season of Bump. And I don't know if I don't see a future at the moment, at least, where I'll get sick of it. So, Australian series, of course, we talked about it like every other season when it dropped. So, it was in our top 10 TV shows in 2021 for the season there. So, will this one be in the top TV shows for 2023? Maybe. Find out at the end of the year. But this season, the third season takes a time jump. So season 2 ended with Olympia and Santi moving in together with the baby. This is about, I can't remember exactly how many years. I think it's around like a 5-year time jump or something around that. So now their daughter has grown up. There's a bunch of stuff that sort of happened in the time gap as well, which is that Santi and Olympia have, or Ollie, I guess. Ollie and Santi have split up, and they're still co-parenting, but yeah, they're sort of not living together anymore. And then you also have, what are the main other things? Angie, Ollie's mum, went through cancer in her time between, and now is sort of a different person, I guess, which is making it hard for Dom, Ollie's dad, to have any sort of reconnection there. And there's a lot of Angie has a very interesting story this season, is what I'll say. And then so it continues on a lot of the same. I think the time jump was really smart because it's sort of like I think if they tried to stretch out and do it like they were doing, they were sort of fizzled out. But it's like a really smart time jump where it just suddenly introduces all these new interesting directions to take the characters and the story. Because even like obviously it's not a spoiler to say, of course, Ollie and Santi both end up getting different partners, and you have this whole dynamic about like it's a lot of the shows, like when do they introduce them to the kid, how they introduce them to each other, like all these sorts of interesting stories and character things. But then you also have all of Ollie's friends and Santi's friends, like what are they up to, what happens to them, like when they come back into it and whatever else. It's really good. I watched it. I am very happy the show continues to be a thing. I can only assume it does very well. I don't know anyone who watches it. Is the thing, you know what I mean? Like I just live in this bubble.
Bump online fandom.
There's not a big bump. Like I don't know, but I see. Like, people must be watching it, right? Yeah, because they run a lot of ads. It always Stan at least pushes it a bit, so I assume people must be watching it, which is good. Because I'm happy to take more because I think it's a fantastic Australian show that we continue to get every year, and it's really good. And I hope people support these Australian shows because that's it. Like if you complain, because like I do, like it's normal TV is shit. Like it's mostly reality TV and whatever else. Like if you're looking for quality Australian scripted television, like Stan is producing the majority of that. So support it. And Bob is very good. Yeah.
Well, speaking of Australian content, you also watch Black Snow.
So in sort of the opposite direction, I guess, for if
tonally or quality?
Genres, tone, I guess. No, quality's still good. I wouldn't say this is as good as Bump, but it's still good. So Black Snow is I think it was like 6 episode series. It's what's the setup again? I can't remember. It's like the main dude is I guess like a cold case detective in, I don't know, New South Wales, Queensland, whatever it is. And he goes up to investigate this case in this small town where this girl went missing when I was in high school or whatever, and it was a cold case, never found the killer or never found if there was a killer. It's like people have presumptions in the town about, was she killed? Did she run away? Like all these sorts of things. But they did a time capsule when I was in school, like one of those like open 25 years later thing, that when they open it, they find a note in there from her, which is very like sort of sounds like she was being, like she talks crap on the town, says that everyone there's two-faced, and like if she'll either be dead in 25 years or this, like it's just very like sort of thing. And there's a couple other things there that make them send someone down to investigate the case. So it's got that small town vibe where lots of people are calling secret, keeping secrets. No one really wants to talk to the cop from the big city sort of mentality. Like there's a certain genre to these shows, I feel, in movies where it's the big city cop coming down to a small town that has to try and work out what's going on. But yeah, I quite enjoyed it. It's shot well. There's some good performances in it. Good mystery. Good like sort of finale solution, I guess, to how it all comes together. I felt satisfied. So yeah, another good one on Stan.
And then you also watch Colin from Accounts.
This is fucking funny show. I'm telling you right now, this is the funniest thing I've watched all year so far.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm putting it out there. So Colin from Accounts. I've managed to get people at work to watch it. I'm fucking pushing this show. It made me laugh a lot. Yeah, well, I got stock in this show because it made me laugh a lot, and I was like, "This is a good show." So Colin from Accounts is a binge original Australian series, which I don't know if there's been a binge original comedy series or there's been binge original specials and stuff I've seen. I don't know anyway, it's I can't remember the dude from he did No Activity and Patrick Bramall. There we go. Patrick Bramall stars alongside Harriet Dyer. So at the start, first episode, the setup is old mate Patrick plays Gordon. He's driving down the road in his car. Harriet is playing a girl called Ashley. She's walking along for some reason. She decides to flash a bit of a tit to Gordon as he's driving. Because of this distraction, he accidentally hits a dog. So then they get out of the car and they decide to take the dog to a vet. It costs about 10 grand or 12 grand or whatever it is, of which Pat Gordon is able to pay because he runs a brewery, like not a bar, but like a good quality brewery. And Ashley's like she's like a nurse in training or whatever that's called. So she's like, I'll pay you back. But then also what happens by the end of the first episode is she takes the dog home and then she gets kicked out of her flat because she's not allowed to have animals. So then she ends up back at Gordon's house and is like, can I stay here for a while until I look for a new place? Meanwhile, he's like, fucking hell, this woman's like the worst thing that ever happened to her life. And it's called Colin from Accounts because spoilers for last episode, they decide by then, they're like, fuck, we better give this dog a name if we're going to keep it around. And they decide they'll call it Colin, like Colin from Accounts. So I named the dog Colin. But yeah, I don't even want to spoil everything because there are some wild gags in this show, but also the chemistry is fantastic because both the leads are married in real life. And I think a lot of the jokes are sort of built off, I guess, jokes maybe they've had about each other or friends have made because there is an age gap of like 15, 20 years between the two of them. And a lot of the jokes in the series about how, like, because of course this is a rom-com, right? Like, let's boil it down. It's an Australian rom-com sort of thing. Like, of course, the sparks start to fly eventually. And then the friend's always joking about how he's an old man and, she's a younger girl and they have all these sorts of things. But yeah, I smashed through the 6 episodes of this. I hope they do a second season because it made me laugh quite a bit. Very, very fun show.
Continuing the Australian theme, I watched the second season of The Test, which is a Prime Video documentary series following the Australian cricket team during the Ashes here in Australia. Of course, the big thing that happened before the one in the Ashes in this series was Tim Payne stepped down as the Australian captain due to a sexting scandal. And Pat Cummins became the new Australian Test cricket captain. Kind of following him. I really enjoyed the first season. This one feels a little bit more rushed. There's only 4 episodes, whereas the first season had like 8. So it's a little bit more condensed. But, it is fun to relive some of those moments. Of course, like the big thing that happened during that test series was Scott Boland and kind of blow up. Like, had a fantastic debut match, so being able to be behind the scenes before that happened was really cool. And then they go to the subcontinent, so they go to Pakistan and Sri Lanka during pretty dangerous times, and kind of seeing them experience those places was interesting as well. So if you're a sports fan, check out The Test Season 2. It's
funny you say that, because I feel like they, as someone who hates cricket and I feel like they never rush test matches. I feel like it just goes forever and ever and ever. So it's interesting to say that.
That's not true. They're like several matches in the last year have been like 3 days long instead of 5. So I mean,
only 3 days on. Oh, fuck. Oh my god. 3 days.
It's like very quick.
3 days. Oh my god.
Very condensed. Alright. Dylan, you watched Shotgun Wedding, which is about to release this coming Friday
Yes.
in Prime Video.
This one stars... What's his name?
Josh Duhamel, Jennifer Lopez.
Josh Duhamel, there we go, and Jennifer Lopez, that's it. So this is the one where we talked about, we did a thumbs up trailer, I think we both gave double thumbs up, mostly because it has Jennifer Coolidge just firing a gun in it at some stage, which is quite funny. The movie is okay. I feel like the majority of the best parts are in the trailer, that's sort of what we ended up with here. It starts off like with your typical sort of setup, and then I don't know if it's, I don't think it's a spoiler, but I feel like the thing that annoyed me the most is like, so the plot of this is literally they're at a whatever island or place wherever they are to get married. Then a bunch of pirates show up to rob them or get money out of them, I guess. The only reason that the two main characters aren't there at the time is because they're off arguing somewhere. So then the whole time they're trying to survive, they're still doing a bunch of bickering back and forth. I'm like, I don't know. Like, I feel that sort of annoyed me because I was like, I much would have preferred the tone of like them just being fucking kick ass together, you know, without any of the like. I don't need the rivalry between the two of them, the arguing at the same time. Like, you've already got fucking dudes with machine guns here. Like, I don't need. How much more stuff do I need? You know, just. How much more dilemmas do I need the characters to go through? It's fine. So, but there are some funny parts. Of course, Jennifer Coolidge eventually shooting machine guns, quite funny. But there are some few other highlights I won't spoil. But they're sort of, I would say, spread thinner than what I would have hoped going into the movie.
All right. Well, speaking of Jennifer Coolidge, you finished watching White Lotus season 2.
Yeah, it's sort of like I had to like follow our rules. Like our cutoff, of course, for TV shows is the end of November. And this didn't finish until the end of December or start of 2020. No, it's the end of November, right?
Yep.
So best show of 2023 so far. White Lotus is somehow White Lotus, a show that for all purposes was supposed to be a one and done season limited series, and then HBO's like, people like that, can you do more? And I'm like, okay, I can do more, I guess. This season's better than the first, somehow, which never really happens for these sorts of things. Usually the story is you ask someone to do more of something that they only plan to do one of, and it turns out absolutely horrible. But
didn't you like the second season of that Nicole Kidman Big Little Lies?
I don't feel like it was good as the first season. Yeah, first season was better.
Okay.
Second season was good. The first season was better. So.
Okay.
But no, White Lotus season 2, the only character they bring back is Jennifer Coolidge. So the connecting factor is it's just a bunch of other characters going to another White Lotus hotel in a completely different country. This time they're in Italy. The main several characters you have is a family going there to visit or reconnect to their Italian heritage, I guess. And you've got two prostitutes, sort of as other characters, Italian prostitutes who mingle between a lot of the characters. Jennifer Coolidge is there with her husband who she met from last season. And then you've got a new character who's like her assistant. You have... Fuck, am I forgetting people? Probably am. Can't remember. Oh yeah, and then you've got, of course, Audrey Plaza she's there with her boyfriend or husband, I can't remember who's and what's married, but they're there with two other friends. They recently like stuck up a business deal. So I would say I was describing the first season a lot. Of course, what we talked about is like they're just terrible people, and it's just really entertaining to watch them. There are a lot of terrible people in this, but I feel like the overall vibe and mix between the characters is a lot more varied this time. Like I didn't feel like all the characters we were following were terrible. Like I didn't like the first season. I felt like every character just sucked, but they were really entertaining to watch. Whereas I actually did like some of the main characters at the time, or didn't like think they were all terrible people, or at least there was a little bit more versatility to them and their personalities. So I think that makes it a little bit more enjoyable and beautifully shot, very funny, absolutely wild final episode. So yeah, ultimately it's just quality TV. Like I feel like if you don't like, I saw someone the other day call White Lotus boring. I'm just like, I don't get it.
Don't understand.
I don't get it.
So I've watched the first 3 episodes of the new seasons of The Legends of Vox Machina. Of course, the animated series that spawned out of Critical Role. This season, they're fighting dragons, and it's not off to a good start. Obviously, a very important run during the campaign. It's really good. There's iconic moments, kind of all slittered through. Fan favorite characters showing up. It's enjoyable. I think I feel like I really need to go back and rewatch the first season because just because I think I talked about it somewhere, but like I kind of felt like the first season felt rushed, just because the pacing of that is so different to the pacing of the live D&D game, and so it feels like the events are like happening much quicker than they're supposed to.
Because they are happening a lot quicker.
They are happening much quicker than they're supposed to. And even in this, there's like certain events that are taking place at the same time or at different times. They've moved stuff around and that kind of stuff. Interestingly, they do some like some flashbacks and stuff so far this season, which was really effective because obviously it's setting up like a massive cliffhanger on episode 3. I'm enjoying it so far. Of course, it's a massive hit. It's really good. Let's talk about some more shows that we finished watching the seasons of. Willow, the TV show, the follow-on from Willow, the movie, finished its run. I liked it overall. I didn't love it. It was, I don't know, there's just something about it that didn't quite click towards the end. But, I think it's a fun ride. It's cool. I enjoy the younger cast of characters that they introduced. I'm keen for a season 2, which they definitely leave the door open for. But Dylan, you've watched a few episodes now. What are your thoughts on Willow?
Yeah, so I think I've watched 4 or 5.
Yeah.
And I think it only picks up. I think the first episode's like good, but then every episode after, when you actually start getting Willow in and they're going on the adventure, like it takes those first couple of episodes to pick up. But now I've been loving it. I've been like, I'm hopefully going to finish it off this week. I would hope, between some other things. But yeah, I've been really, really loving it. I think it just takes everything that's set up in the Willow movie, the universe, and expands upon it. And I've just been finding it such a, like, of course it's got like sort of typical fantasy settings and stuff, but I feel like there's enough differentiating it in little ways that make the Willow universe stand out to different other fantasy universes. All the younger new characters are all absolutely fantastic. They're all sort of stand out on their own ways, all have very unique personalities, all have these really great performances, some fun little cameo performances and stuff that happen here too. Hannah Waddingham shows up for one episode, which is fantastic. I was going to ask about that. Yeah. That's really good. So I'm looking forward to seeing what else happens. The episode after that, which I think was maybe the last one I watched, so maybe it's only 4, but where it's set inside I don't know how much the spoilers, but no, fuck it, I don't care. Set inside the entire castle from where the villain of the movie was. Like I really liked that, just the exploration there, and the building on the psychological elements, I guess, and the sort of what happens in there. I thought was all really, really great. Some really fantastic performances happening in that episode in particular. So yeah, I think it's fantastic so far. So yeah, it just takes that first episode and a half, I guess, to kick into gear.
I also finished watching Slow Horses Season 2, which is the spy espionage series starring Gary Oldman, who leads a team of MI6 misfits. This season, they're chasing someone who killed like a former agent, and they think there's a bunch of cicadas hidden within the UK, so a bunch of Russian sleeper agents that kind of been activated for nefarious purposes. Another great season, like all these different plot threads that you didn't really see a common connection of come together kind of brilliantly. Gary Oldman is fantastic. Just a really, really enjoyable series. And again, they've already dropped a trailer for season 3. So, very quick, hopefully another season quickly turning around. Yeah, I think it's a really good show, and it's only like 6 episodes each season, so I mean, it's not that much a commitment. I think it's worth checking out if you're a fan of those type of series. So yeah,
Can
that's
I just say, since you just reminded me, Apple TV. Did you watch that Timmy Chalamet
yes,
advert?
it might be the best piece of marketing.
So funny.
I think he's got to win whatever the ad Oscar is equivalent.
For people who don't know, there's this Timothy Chalamet ad for Apple TV Plus that just dropped, and all it is like just different moments of either him flicking past Apple TV shows and like being like, oh yeah, I could do a prison show, or like actors talking to him like Jason Momoa. Yeah,
I could do prison.
I could do prison. Or like Jason Momoa, like calling him up, be like, "What's happening?" He's like, "Yeah, just got done filming a new show." And all this.
Sure,
like,
everybody's got
like,
one.
Everyone's getting, and then he's like, and then just rolls over a bit. It's like, I could do whatever. Yeah, I could do call you.
Apple call me.
Apple call me, please. Yeah, I think it was a very funny ad. So.
Speaking of more Apple stuff, I finished watching season 3 of Mythic Quest. Yes, season 3.
We're up to 3 because I haven't watched
Still very funny, enjoyable. There is an element of it that feels like it is spinning its wheels a little bit. There is an element of it like we ended last season on a big shift in the universe or the world, you know, and they've kind of done the full rotation and they're kind of back to where they started.
I feel like the problem is they'll never live up to
they'll never
being as good as that COVID special.
Yeah, that's true, but lots of fun episodes. The episode that I did go back, like the one that kind of stuck out, I know every single season they do like a flashback or like one back in the past. This season they do an episode where they flash back to Poppy and Ion as children, and I kind of explain how they got into video games and that kind of stuff. And it is brilliant. The girl that they cast as Poppy is like incredible. Like it's like they just cloned, like they went back in time and just filmed Poppy in 2003 or something. So it is uncanny. And she's a big Final Fantasy, I want to say 9. She's playing Final Fantasy 9 during the episode, so. Yeah, I recommend Mythic Quest, but it did feel like it was it's kind of not going super forward, you know. But yeah, that's super enjoyable. Dylan, you finished watching Dopesick, the miniseries that we talked about earlier this year.
Yeah, I just like I've been wanting to go back and finish it. I just like kept on it. Just never got around to doing it for other things. But yeah, in the time off, finally finished it. Very good. Obviously, award winning, right? Yeah, I didn't dream.
What?
It won an award, right?
It won the Emmy, yeah.
Michael Keaton won
miniseries.
And Michael Keaton won, right?
Yes, Michael Keaton. Yeah. No, it didn't win miniseries because White Lotus was eligible. But Michael Keaton
won, yeah. So Michael Keaton's fantastic in it, but yeah, it's just it's almost just a depressing series by then, because although they sort of win, they don't, like, I don't know, it just sort of leaves you with
they win, but they already lost.
They win, but they already lost, yeah, that's a good way of putting it. So it's, yeah, especially with the amount of characters that, like, especially the normal average Joe sort of people that die in the show and all these sorts of things, and just the way they portray the big pharma and their care factor totally boils down to whatever we can do to make more money. That's all that matters. So, yeah, it's very, very good series, but it'll just sort of make you feel shit.
Yeah. All right. Well, something that didn't make you feel shit, I'm assuming, is Abbott Elementary, another series that we started earlier in the year, and you finally caught up on it.
Made me feel terrible. No, Abbott Elementary is very good. I think I'm up to date. No, maybe not. Maybe I've got like last.
No, I think you're a couple. They just started the second part.
The second half of season 2.
They're only like a week behind now. Before they were like a couple of weeks behind
America,
like 7 days after.
Which is still weird. I'm like, why can't we just get that same time? I don't understand why this is.
Don't know. Could just be grateful.
Anyway, Abbott Elementary is very, very good. Obviously, award winning. That one I know for sure. Very funny show. Yeah, it's the heartwarming, fun new series that everyone should probably just be watching, because it's just, there's nothing wrong with it. Like it's we've talked about it before. Like it's very funny, but also continues to somehow manage like to have, even if you don't realize it, having something to say, I guess, about either schools in general, which could be applied to the majority of countries around the world, But also, then you'll get other things delving into relationships and mother figures, raising kids, judging people the way they look. Like there's this episode where that woman has tattoo, like that was quite
Black
funny.
bitch tattooed on her chest.
Yeah, she has like black bitch or what? Yeah, it's just fucking just like this very outlandish thing like tattooed on her. And then of course that's like brought up like how that's they talk about like she gets judged but then apologized to later in the episode. Yeah, so like there's always like lessons to be learned, but it's also very funny and heartwarming and just a quality sitcom, like the quality sitcom I'd say at the moment.
Yeah, I've been really enjoying season 2 and some really good episodes in there. I literally went back and rewatched the Halloween episode, which is hilarious. It has a bunch of cool like costumes and cameos. Obviously, it's an ABC show, so there's a bunch of Marvel characters that people are cosplaying as or dressed up as.
Scarlet Witch everywhere.
Scarlet Witches and Baby Thanoses, but yeah, really enjoyable, and all the cast is fantastic. I don't know if you saw the clip of a recent episode. No, I'll wait till you watch it.
I haven't seen. Yeah, I don't. If I see it come up on Twitter, I'm not going to watch it until I watch it. I don't want to spoil any of the best jokes. But the thing, if I do want to spoil something,
but Cherie Ralph, fantastic delivery somehow.
Yes, in general, that's a statement. Yes.
Did you have a favorite episode of season 1?
I don't know if it's season 1, but the fucking Bluey episode blew my mind.
Okay, that's season 2. Yeah,
was that season 1 or was
that was season 2? Yeah.
Season 2, but this episode, this kid's just obsessed with Bluey, and I just love the fact that Oliver like cut talking to the camera. He's like, "This kid just bloody Australian series showing a the blue dog. Kid won't stop talking about it." And then he ties it in at the end and like starts like teaching the kid. He's like, if Bluey had 5 apples, or whatever the thing is. Like it's quite funny.
Go Bluey, getting paid, getting that licensing money.
So, yeah. Favorite episode would be really hard. I'd have to like really like think about it. I don't know if I could pull one off the top of my head.
Yeah, it's pretty tough. Man, I love that desking episode. That's a pretty good one.
Oh yeah, they were trying to figure out which kids are standing on the desks and whatever.
Black? No, Zach.
I was like, yeah, I don't think it was Zach.
And Paul Tariq,
Very, very funny.
His rap though, hilarious.
Yeah, that's.
What if Shorty up here just
11.
up and died right now? Wouldn't that be cool? Out of drugs. Yeah.
I mean oh no, I feel like a lot of the season 2 episodes stand out more to me just because I'm like maybe it's more recent or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. But the science episode I thought was also very, very good.
Yeah.
Just because those kids' faces when she's dropping those fucking eggs from up on this high ladder and all these eggs are just smashing and the kids are like watching people with these eggs getting murdered. It's very funny.
These eggs that they've crazily
spent all this time like
created these attachments to.
Yeah.
Now we're going to kind of move into a segment of stuff that we watched in the lead up to our best of 2020, best of 2020, the best of 2022 lists. Dylan, you watched The Menu.
I watched this after the voting, but yeah, no, it's fine. Okay. We can put it here. I only watched it like a couple days ago. Yeah, The Menu is very good. It's honestly, especially maybe for you, because I didn't even know myself coming into it. Like, is this like a horror movie? Are they like eating people? Like, what's the twist? Like, you could definitely watch this. This is not that's not the direction.
There's no cannibalism in this movie.
There's no cannibalism involved. Like, it's a thriller, but it's a comedy thriller. Like, it's the majority of the movie, honestly, is just the camera circling around this room where they're eating this food and you get to know these characters. And of course the tension picks up as the night continues until eventually you realize like they're not allowed to leave and like, revelations be to you who's going to watch it. But yeah, it's got these really just fantastic performances by everyone that's involved. It's shot really well, especially when you're keeping the majority of the camera rolling in one setting, which is this dinner room once they all sit down and get that started. But, yeah, it's definitely very different. I guess maybe the thing that would annoy some people is it's sort of, I guess it's blunt with it's like, what is the point of this movie? Like, it's just sort of just what it's trying to say. But, yeah, it's weirdly funny considering it's a bunch of people getting trapped in a room and not allowed to leave when they've come to this island to have a exquisite, like, several $1,000 meal. Nicholas Hoult is, he's just such a dipshit character, like up his own ass character that he's sort of, but he's playing it so well. It's sort of fun. But yeah,
all right,
it's good.
So I watched Prey. So this is the Predator prequel set in 1719 in America. So during the I don't know, before the Americans,
It's
the white people got there.
when white
It's
colonization's
a
happening.
Comanche war, a Comanche tribe.
Yeah.
You follow a young woman named Naru who wants to prove herself as a hunter, but comes across a predator in the forest who is hunting and does its hunting shit. And she has to kind of survive and fight the predator using what she has available to her. I thought it was really good. It was super enjoyable. Some of the action is very creative, and they do a good job of like setting up certain elements. I mean, it maybe telegraphs certain things like pretty far early. Like there's like a sand pit, no, like a quicksand thing that I'm like, oh, that's probably going to play into it later in the movie. But yeah, I thought it was plausible the way that she was able to come out victorious, which I don't think would be a surprise. Yeah, it was super enjoyable. Amber Midthunder, she's fantastic. Really engrossing main character, and I had a really good time watching it.
Okay.
Am I going to watch Predators or Predator? Probably not anytime soon.
I don't feel like I can this movie is a lot different to the like this. Well, no, to be fair, the most recent run of Predator movies have been less horror and more like action thriller, which is what this is. This is like an action thriller. Yeah, it's still like, and again, too, people go like, oh, but it's like this, like technically it's still a horror movie, but it's just more action thriller horror than it is horror. Which has been been how the last several are. So yeah, if you want to go back and watch like the original Predator with Schwarzenegger and stuff, that's meant to be a scary horror movie. But yeah, I feel like Predator now as a franchise has fallen more into this genre, and it probably won't go back.
Dylan, you got around to watching Elvis.
Yeah, so I finally watched Elvis. I was like, I better watch it in the lead up to the best of stuff. I know it's going to be probably nominated for a lot of things, and didn't know if you were going to nominate it and wanted to be able to have a proper say. It's a wild movie. It's just the way it's edited, the way it's like paced and put together. It's just Baz Luhrmann's just fucking off his chops, isn't he? Austin Butler is very good as Elvis. Like it's definitely a strong performance. I can't take that away. But I don't know. It just felt like I watched, like I felt like I was engaged watching it, and all the music parts very good. Like, and it's just very very well put together movie. I actually don't like Tom Hanks in it. Like, I definitely fall on the side of it's just too much. Like, it's sort of it was grating towards me. He sort of brings the movie down actually, which is weird to say for Tom Hanks, who usually elevates movies. But he was the worst person in the movie by far. It's just like like he's making fun. It feels like he's making fun of the movie while everyone else is sort of being serious. Yeah, it's just he's what? Like it's just it's just ridiculous. So, but yeah, by the end of it, I just felt like it was missing something. I felt like maybe it treated the characters with maybe it's just by the having the remaining Presleys, I guess at the time, rest in peace. Recent events, but involved with it sort of leads it towards you can't say many two things negative about Elvis, but just it felt like too cookie cutter, too just nice about a lot of things. So that'd be my only complaint.
Okay, yeah. I watched Confess Fletch, which is the John Hamm starring adaptation of one of the Fletch novels, directed by Greg Mottola. Where Fletch is investigating a bunch of stolen paintings, and then gets the Airbnb he's staying in someone gets murdered in. So he's they're pretty sure that he's the one who murdered the person. Someone who has not watched any of the Chevy Chase Fletchers, which I guess are the only Fletchers.
I was going to say the only other Fletchers. But
the other Fletchers. I enjoyed it. Obviously, I like John Hamm in comedic roles, and I think he's very good here as like kind of a smarmy kind of former investigative journalist. There's a lot of fun back and forth. There are kind of mystery that's around what happened to these paintings, who murdered this person. Is quite interesting and how it unfolds. Roy Wood Jr. from The Daily Show plays like this head detective who's also having to deal with a new child. So is like very tired and that kind of stuff. This Marsha Gay Harden shows up with a wild accent, which is very funny. You get the Mad Men reunion with John Slattery for a little bit. I thought it was a really good time. So, Confess Fletch, it's available for rental. So, I would say give it a go. And I'd be down for more Fletchers starring John Hamm. Dylan, you watched Emily the Criminal,
which ended up making my top 10 personal movies. So if you missed that episode, it's just this. It's a small independent film starring Audrey Plaza. I think it's one of her best performances. It's a smaller performance. It's not like a super loud performance, but I definitely feel it's a nuanced one that's sort of, she grips you whenever you're that she's on screen, which is the majority of the movie. But yeah, it's about this girl, Emily, who does sort of shitty jobs, and she's trying to make it and be something, but she unfortunately has something on her criminal record, so it sort of talks like of the movie's politics sort of right on its sleeve, where it's talking about how, you know, people for small crimes or mistakes in their past sort of get fucked over for their lives, and, you know, as much as they can try hard, they end up falling into this, like, because Emily's a character, this is literally the character who falls into doing bad things because she's, as much as she's trying to do the right thing, she just can't. Like, she can't get a win. So she ends up becoming Emily the Criminal. She starts up doing these small sort of gigs for this other dude who, like, gives her stolen credit cards, and she's buying it and then he's selling it and whatever else. But then she wants in on that game herself and starts, like, forging the credit cards and whatever else. And next second she's down a huge rabbit hole of the crime world. And, I mean, you can probably guess it doesn't all go super well. Insert drama. So, but yeah, it's really great bunch of performances in the movie. It's shot really well, especially for this. It almost has this, what do you call it, guerrilla style of, like, it feels like a guerrilla style shooting of, you can just set up the camera quickly and shot in places, which I think is what's happened for the majority of it from the budget I looked up for it. So, but I really enjoyed it. It's just a stone cold, straight shooting, classic sort of thriller. Really enjoyable, and one of the best performances of the year as far as I was concerned. Audrey Plaza in this, one of my favorite performances of the year, and ended up being one of my favorite movies. So,
yeah. All right. I watched Anonymous Club, which is a documentary following the musician Courtney Barnett. Just she's keeping a bunch of audio logs during her tours and that kind of stuff, and it's kind of like a fly on the wall kind of documentary, which takes place. I don't know the exact time, but it's pretty clear that part of it is taking place during COVID. She's like, at some point, she just comes home for a long period of time. It's not there's not, like, no dates anywhere, which is kind of a jarring thing, maybe. Or it could just be something that proves to be timeless and, like, you know, in years later, it's like, oh, it's just so happened that she was just home from tour. So, as someone who has not really paid much attention to her work, I only watched this movie because Andrew from The Curb was super high on it for a long period of time. I enjoyed it. I think she's a very interesting character, and she's got a very interesting perspective on the world and music and performing and that kind of stuff. Very interesting. Like, again, the fly on the wall kind of thing. And this, like, one of the first scenes you see is, like, some guy comes to her at, like, a fan meet, and she wants her to write the lyrics to one of her songs on a t-shirt on his back, like not like a line, like a lengthy phrase, lengthy stanza, like whole verse. It's a little bit weird, but obviously it's super meaningful for him and that kind of stuff. So, I would recommend checking that out. So that is available now on Apple iView. No, ABC iView. They haven't been bought by Apple yet. Dylan, you watched Wildcat.
Yeah, watched Wildcat. Ended up making our top 5 documentary picks, of course, as well as network.com/best 2022. It's a Prime Video documentary about this UK dude, I can't remember his name, goes and joins the army, goes to Vietnam, ends up getting discharged, well, not discharged, like, I don't know, and let go because he's having, like, mental health problems, like, sort of PTSD sort of stuff, and what else. Goes to, I can't remember what country he goes to. He goes to a country, a country with forest. I can't remember what fucking country it goes to. I feel like I should Google this because this is probably important. I feel like it's like fucking Peru or some fucking some shit like that. So, young British shot finds a chance in Amazon rainforest. Where the fuck's the Amazon rainforest?
South America.
So South America somewhere. He meets. He just hangs out and he starts doing a bunch of stuff there. He sort of likes the.
He's in Brazil.
Brazil, there you go.
We're bad at geography.
We are very bad at geography. He meets a girl there, and they sort of start having this relationship. She's I think she's American, like sort of what the fuck she got? Like doing a PhD. She's like flying back and forwards and studies, and she's sort of setting up a like animal rescue sort of thing there, which he joins up with. And the thing they end up doing is they get this ocelot, like baby ocelot, that they rescue from poachers. And they try to be the first people to successfully, and people say it's impossible to sort of, like raise the ocelot to a certain age. I think it's 18 months is how long it is. So after 18 months, the idea is it's old enough to be able to be released back into the wild. So the movie follows that, which is interesting by itself because, of course, you get a lot of baby ocelot stuff in this that you would definitely never usually see. And then it's also following these characters, in particular I can't remember his name. Anyway, the main dude, who the film follows, and like sort of him dealing with his PTSD and often mental health issues. So it's definitely a very interesting documentary in both the animal conservation part, but also the mental health aspect of it. I felt so. Yeah, I have some other things I could say, but they're like spoiler sort of things. But yeah, to do with like him in particular that I thought was interesting. But yeah, I would suggest watching if any of that sounds interesting.
I watched A League of Her Own, which is a short documentary about the Queensland State of Origin rugby league team leading into their State of Origin game, I want to say in 2021. Just in the lead up, just following the team in camp, how they go about the selection process, and obviously discussing how female rugby league has grown over the years, from when the Jillaroos would have to literally pay to train, have to pay to actually go compete at World Cups and that kind of stuff off their own back and that kind of stuff, to now where they were, I think they're being paid the exact same as men in State of Origin games. Yeah, it's a fine piece. I don't think it's like revolutionary in any way, but it's it feels like an extended news report to a certain extent, like, or a 60-minute Australian story piece. But it's enjoyable, and if you're a Australian sports, if you like rugby league, it's worth checking out, I think. Dylan, you went out and watched Blueback. Probably should mention this earlier, but
in the Australian section,
yeah,
I felt like we could have knew it. There's enough Australian films and TV shows. So Blueback is the newest film from Robert Connolly, who was the director of what was it, 2021, The Dry? Whatever. A couple years ago, The Dry. A few other things, of course, as well. Stars Mia Wasikowska as this girl who returns to home. I can't remember what country. Oh, sorry, state is. I think it's like New South Wales or somewhere around there. Sort of like this small city vibe, living on the ocean. And she was brought up with a mum played by Rada Mitchell, who's fantastic. As like sort of this, love the sea, love the animals, love the, sort of like she's a free spirit. She loves everything. And that's why she was brought up. And then as she grew older, Mia, because you cut back and forth, so you're getting scenes as Mia as the older Abby, and then you're getting who plays her. Let me look at her. So you both have Ariel Donahue playing the young little girl Abby when you have those scenes, and then you have a lot more with Isla Fogg, who plays teenage Abby, and so it's mostly a split between teenage Abby and older Abby with Mia. So because older Abby comes back because her mother has been in hospital. She had a stroke, I think, or something like that. and she hasn't been speaking, so she just sort of comes back to see her mum. And while all this is happening, you're sort of having flashbacks. She's remembering things about her mum, and I think the writing is like sort of comes into, you know, like, I don't know, it's hard to say about spoilers, but definitely there's lots of elements about just like life, remembering things, like what's important in life at the end of the day, sort of thing. The title Blueback is because when she was young, Abby goes down diving one day with her mum, and they find this blue groper who she falls in love with. And blue gropers are these fucking massive looking funny fishes. If you ever like Google a picture of them, they're like just I don't know if you're like listening or something. I just go to Google, type in blue groper, and I guarantee the first picture you see will make you go, "What the fuck is that?" Because they're wild looking fish. So she sort of befriends one because they're friendly little things as much as they look like they could actually kill you. And she just comes visit all the time because blue gropers don't leave. Like they find one area, they actually live for a very long time, and they just hang around that entire area. So she would always come and visit. It's like something that doesn't move on. So I feel like thematically it's this interesting thing between, you know, coming back to see her mum who's like towards the end of her life and whatever else. And meanwhile, you have this blue groper. She's got blue back, a big past of her childhood, something that never moved on. Like it's just, yeah. I thought it was a very interesting movie. It's shot very well. It got these really great performances. It has this, Eric Bana shows up as in a supporting role as this character Macca. He's 100% just doing his accent that he does for Chopper and the Chopper films. So it's really weird to listen to because he'll be like, mate, there's all this sort of thing. And I'm like, it's just Chopper. Like, you're just doing your Chopper voice. But anyway, it's fine. You're not actually a bad guy in this movie. You're just like a sort of, you know, you're sort of the crazy old man hanging around, but that's totally fine. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's a well shot, nice Australian film.
All right. So I finally got around to watching Senior Year, or Shithouse as it's called in America. Cooper Raiff's first film, on the back of doing the lists this year and having Cha Cha real smooth at number 10. I'm like, I should probably go back and watch that first one.
Where'd you find it? Because remember,
SBS.
I watched it. Okay, that's where it ended up, did it? Okay.
Well, yeah, that's where it currently is, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, so it follows a university student, his first year of uni, living away from his family, someone who's very close to his family, and he, you know, isn't really putting himself out there and opening himself up to the full uni experience. He meets a girl, they have an amazing night together, and then, you know, things happen from there. Really interesting watching this when it's clearly a companion piece to Cha Cha Real Smooth, where it could be argued there's some version of this character is the character that goes on to play again in Cha Cha Real Smooth. But yeah, I found it enjoyable. I remember you saying you didn't particularly enjoy the ending of the film, or you felt like it probably lasted a bit too long. I think that's fair. There is a clear like time jump that they probably didn't need at the end of the movie. But I enjoyed it for the most part. It's a very sweet movie. Yeah. Dylan, you watched... We're still going. Sorry About the Demon.
Sorry about that. Yeah, so I should hopefully have a review up. I'm probably going to be around, I hate throwing out scores when I haven't finished it yet, but maybe around like a 6 would probably be my guesstimate. So this is a comedy horror, and it definitely leaves a lot more on the comedy side. So the plot is this guy who's sort of kicked out of, the movie opens with this family and their little girl, like it seems like a normal typical horror movie where this little girl like gets possessed by a demon and everyone's creeping around. But then the family like goes in and so the brother, the mum and the dad go into the room and they sort of talk with the demon and they're like, no, just let us have this little girl. We promise we'll get some other sucker to come, you know, you can take them instead. And then it does the whole like sort of cutaway thing where it's like, you know, what sort of idiot will come move in this place if we, like, they would know something's up if we offer the house for so cheap. And it cuts this other dude. And of course he's the idiot. So he gets, breaks up with his girlfriend and needs to find a place to live. And he sees this mansion, which the house is a typical haunted mansion sort of house, super cheap. And he ends up deciding to stay there. But he's just a dude who's just like, he's out for love. He's got lots of problems in his life. He's to the point that the demons don't really want him. Like, it's just, you know, he ends up deciding like, I'm gonna fight the demons, and I'm gonna stay here. And they don't really want to take his soul either, because he's just too much for even them. So, yeah, it's got some funny scenes. One part in particular did make me laugh, so I can't like fault it too much. I feel like it went for way too long. I think it's like an hour 45, and it definitely feels like hour 20. Like, you could definitely shave 20 minutes off this sucker in different places, and it would have been a much better film at just a very tight 80 minutes. It's just stretched. Like, I was like, what the fuck is this, an hour 45 or hour 42 or whatever? Like, way too long. But yeah, for what it is, it's quite enjoyable. The lead actor does a good job with the sort of odd character that he has to play. Some fun performances by a few other people in this as well. But yeah, it's 100% a comedy horror. Like, where the comedy is like 80% and it's like 20% horror. So it's a Ash could watch horror.
Okay.
Yeah.
You also watched Speak No Evil.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, I was like, what the fuck is this? I watched so many movies. This is the typical first episode of What Do You Want to Watch for me?
Yep.
I'm like, fuck it. I'm getting into the stage. I'm forgetting what I'm watching. Speak No Evil. Yeah, this is really cool. This is, I can't remember. I think they're like Danish or some shit. But they're like on a holiday somewhere. This family, it's, mum, dad, and their little girl, I think. Yeah, little girl. They're on this holiday. They meet this other family. They like go out for dinner. They like really hit it off. They get along so well. Everyone goes back to their own countries, homes, or whatever. And then they get a letter from them or email that's like, hey, we loved hanging out with you. If you'd love to visit us in whatever country they're in, I can't remember. You know, they're all like European countries. It's not like America, Australia. There's like a neighboring European countries, and not flying halfway across the world. But if you'd love to visit us over here, would love to have you. And they're like, yeah, this sounds great. We had like such a great time hanging around with them. Let's go visit them. Their mum, dad, and a son there. And when they get there, shit just is a very uncomfortable movie. This is not an Ash movie. This is okay. I mean, I thought it was great, but this is get there, you think everything's fine, and then the dad will just say fucking weird, uncomfortable shit, and you're like, what the fuck? And then it's a very weird movie for the majority. And not even like weird stuff happening. You're just like, what the fuck is even going on? Like, why are these people who were normal a second ago just like, what the hell? Like, these people are just so odd now. Like, what is going on? So, of course, there's an answer to all this by the time we get to the end of the movie. And like, yeah, it's a wild ending to why everything's going on. But, yeah, it's a weirdly uncomfortable movie for the majority of it. So definitely not an Ash movie. But if you like good movies, unlike Ash, this is a high quality thriller. It's not like a full blown horror movie. There's like one bit of like gore in it, but otherwise like it's just an uncomfortable thriller.
Okay. Then you also watched the 1953 film The War of the Worlds.
Yeah, I should have a review up for this. I got sent a 4K. I got to post that up soon. I got sent a 4K. Yeah, so I got sent a 4K version of the film that just came out, 4K restoration version with new updated audio and everything like that. And I was like, I've never watched this. I've always wanted to. It's always been on those list of old movies that I'm like, one day I should. But there's always so much to watch, Ash. You know what I mean? There's always so much to watch. I actually didn't hate it. I kind of was going to be honest. I thought I'll come into this and be like, this movie is probably just going to have aged terribly. And it kind of hasn't. Like, a lot of the special effects, of course, they don't look great because of the age, but like I think a lot of them hold up. My only problem is I just feel like this movie has the worst fucking ending I think I've ever seen, or like one of the worst endings I swear I've ever seen. And this movie's old as fuck, so I'm spoiling it. So if you don't if you don't want War of the Worlds 1953 spoiled, skip ahead. But you go through this whole movie, and you have this like scientist main character. He's got a love interest and whatever else. They're trying to stop of course, if you don't know the plot of War of the Worlds, it's aliens invade Earth. That is the setup. And then at the end, they're like this, they're in a church and they're like praying and they're hugging and kissing. They're like, oh no, we're going to die. And then there's aliens outside. And they're like fucking UFOs just shooting fucking buildings down. And then one just crashes. And then they go out and they pull out, you see a little alien, little dead hand dangle. And next thing, it just cuts the voiceover. They're like, The aliens couldn't handle our germs, so they fucking died. Anyway, credits. Like, I'm like, what the fuck just happened? Like, it's the most like sort of out of nowhere ending. And I have no idea if that's how it worked in the original, the audio play or drama or whatever, or even the book, I guess, or anything like that. I don't know how much has changed. I'm not a War of the Worlds. I've seen the Tom Cruise movie, of course, the Spielberg one, but yeah. So this is nothing like that movie, by the way. So if you've only watched the Spielberg one like I have, this 1953 version, absolutely nothing at all in common. That's completely different. So the audio design is really good on this 4K disc that I got. I'll say that. Like, I was very surprised at how good the mix was, considering the age of the movie. So not something I don't feel like Ash would give two fucks about. Much like 4K in general, but very good.
I don't know if we really need to talk about this. There's one thing that showed up in your tract that I need to ask about, though.
Is it my fucking penis is huge one?
My giant cock.
Saw this show up on Stan. I was like, you got me. You got my attention. What is this? It sounds like the name of a porno. So I click on it. It was 42 minutes.
My massive cock, I apologize.
My massive cock. There you go. Yeah, sorry. No, I do apologize for my massive cock. It's a BBC, I think, or Channel 4, I can't remember. Anyway, it was a British TV documentary that's just randomly shown up on Stan. I sort of like half paid attention to it. Yeah, it was. It was on the front page. I didn't go searching for it.
It could have just been under the new.
Yeah, maybe. Like, all I know is I clicked on Stan, it was there, and I went, all right, that title has my attention. What the fuck is this? Like, yeah, I clicked on it, and it was 42 minutes, and it was before I went to the cinema to watch Babylon. And I had like an hour to kill, right? And I saw it was 42 minutes. I'm like, I can chuck that on the background because I want to know. I at least want to watch like 10 minutes of this. I want to know what this is. But then I chucked it on. I was sort of engaged from that point, pseudo engaged. It's about a bunch of dudes who have massive cocks, right? But it's not a joke. It's like it follows one dude who actually wants to get, make it smaller. And it is the point of the documentary is all about like how their dicks are so big that it's similar to, I guess, to when you hear about women who have really big boobs. It's like guys like, oh, fucking big boobs, dude. Now fucking blah, blah. But then they're like, get back pain and like it's like gives them life problems. So it's like these dudes like having to buy special types of underwear. They don't have a lot of sex because women don't actually like it, or some will just be in too much pain. Like it's some dude wants to get it smaller reasons. Another dude like talks about how like he doesn't like his friends, or like he plays like AFL or whatever, and his friends, like if he's in the shower, they all make fun of him and they don't like it. Actually brings his mental health down. Like it was a serious documentary with a ridiculous title. Like it just grabs your attention straight away. Yes. But it was a serious, like it was a straight to TV documentary. You could tell that, like it was obviously on at 10 o'clock on Channel 4 or whatever in the UK, but I mean, as weird as it sounds, it was interesting. Like I wouldn't say don't watch it. I thought it was interesting.
All right, Dylan, you can take a break. Get a drink.
Thank God.
Put your feet up. So I'm going to be talking about some anime.
Okay. Yeah. Curious idea. How you going to do that?
I only got two things that I really want to talk about. First is Blue Lock. So this is a new anime series about a young man, like a 16-year-old Isagi, who plays soccer, football, in high school. And as part of the Japanese Football Union decides, in order to progress further than they have in the World Cup, they need to have a fantastic striker for the next to be a force in international football. So this maniac person they put in charge decides he's going to take every single youth striker in the country and stick them in this facility, and they're going to battle it out, battle royale style, until the most egotistical, strongest striker reigns supreme. So yeah, it is a weird Hunger Games-esque scenario featuring football, where all these people want to be the best striker, but they have to work together in certain ways. I think it's really creative the way that it has all these different scenarios. It feels a little very different to any other sports animes running at the moment. Of course, there's this threat of elimination because the risk is if they fail in Blue Lock, they'll never be able to play for a professional Japanese team ever. So their whole future is riding on this, like literally, and you can see it like how high stakes it is. There's some crazy twists and turns and betrayals and stuff like that. I think it's very, very fun. So I've been checking that out. I think it's 14 episodes in so far. So that's really good. And then I've gotten into Kaguya-sama, Love is War. So this is a romantic comedy anime between the student council president, Shirogane, and the vice president, Shinomiya, who have clearly in love with each other but neither wants to confess to the other. So they play like mental games against each other to get the other one to confess their love, which is a very amusing series of events. Each like 20-minute episode is broken up into 3 different shorts. So it's very fast moving and lots of very funny scenarios. You've got the other like school council members and stuff who come in, and there's like awkward situations and misunderstandings and all the classic rom-com trope kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I'm like a season and a half in. There's 3 seasons, I believe. So yeah, I'm really digging it. So yeah, if you've got a Crunchyroll subscription, I think it's worth checking out if you haven't already. All right, before we move into our Netflix segments, can we bring back one segment that we haven't done in a long time? Dylan's favorite segment, films Dylan can finally watch.
Finally. At last.
It's about time. It's been 84 years.
And Dylan, you could finally watch Barbarian on Disney+.
Sure, I could finally watch Barbarian. Very good. I sort of struggle to talk about the movie because I don't want to spoil it, and that's sort of the gig with this movie is they did some very smart marketing and trailers for this movie, so I don't want to spoil it. But it is basically about a character who goes to an Airbnb, and then the worst thing that could ever happen at an Airbnb happens. I guess it sort of plays on fears, I guess, of like the things that could go wrong with an Airbnb, because she shows up and there's another guy there. And you're like, okay, well, this is awkward. What do we do now? Like, do we leave? But it's late at night. Where should she go? And it's just it has some really wild directions it takes. It's a horror movie that's not afraid to just swing for the fences, and it is utterly enjoyable. Like, I wouldn't say it's tense. It's not super scary. It's tense, but it also just it's fun. Like, it's like, if you look at horror movies with roller coaster rides, you have some roller coaster rides that you look at and you go, that's sort of scary, but also it'll be enjoyable. And you look at other ones and you go, that's fucking too much. No, thank you. I'm not doing that. This is more in the category of like, it's a wild ride, but you'll have a lot of fun watching it at the same time. And yeah, Barbarian's definitely a movie from last year that you should watch no trailers for and just sit down and watch, and you will get the utmost out of it.
All right. Well, with that said, let's jump to our mandatory Netflix segment of the show. Releasing Christmas Day was a Christmas present for us all. Matilda the Musical, and the film version of the musical that is based on the Roald Dahl book, which itself was adapted into a 1996 film directed by Danny DeVito, starring Danny DeVito and Peter Wilson. No, Peter, I want to say Wilson, but that doesn't sound right. Little girl who was in like all the 90s movies. She was in it. That's Matilda. Yes. Yeah. And this one, music written by Tim Minchin, starring, it's got Emma Thompson and Lashana Lynch, and I think the young girl is Alicia Weir, who's like...
Stephen Graham.
Stephen Graham's in it as well. I really enjoyed it. I think it's a fun time. There's a lot of catchy, like, fun songs I've been listening back to. It's interesting, obviously, as someone who's listened to Tim Minchin, like, perform for many years. You can hear his voice in a lot of the songs, or like a lot of the way they're written and delivery, like the cleverness of a lot of the words and that kind of stuff. Like, even like there's the song where they go through the alphabet. It's like, that's such a Tim Minchin a Tim Minchin song. That's like, but yeah, I thought it was pretty fantastic. Really good musical, and yeah, I had a good time. Dylan, what did you think of Matilda musical?
This was such a joy. I've never seen the play. I know people say it's good, but I actually went into this expecting it to just be like mediocre at best. But I was still going to watch it because I love obviously I read the book as a kid and I love the '96 movie. I watched that like a million times.
Yep.
So love Matilda. Went to this expecting it to be okay. I was just blown away. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. Like all of the songs, which I'd never heard before, which obviously from the play, I like Tim Minchin. The Tim Minchin songs. So that's like, it's just glorious. It's sort of Tim Minchin comedic timing on wordplay, I guess. But the cast is also just absolutely fantastic. Like Alicia Weir's Matilda, I think is very, very good. Definitely different to the '96 movie version, but not in a bad way. It's just different. That's fine. Emma Thompson's Agatha Trunchbull is fucking spectacular. She is fucking having the time of her life. Lashana Lynch's Miss Honey is 100% Miss Honey. It's the warmth and care that you want to feel from that character of just this person being pure goodness, and that's what that character's supposed to fill you with. I love that Lashana Lynch can both have this performance where she's just so just lovable and this caring person, and you sort of feel sorry for her, and you just want her and Matilda to be together forever, and that's sort of what you feel in the '96 movie. Yep. And you know, you just want her to be with her and not her fucking shitty parents. I love how she can do that while also being in the Woman King, where she's just this brutal warrior and stuff. Like, what a range that woman has. Yeah. And Stephen Graham, who is at times can play scary as fuck like gangster characters, and then also appear in this and play Mr. Wormwood, is just
a total buffoon. Yeah,
total buffoon, but he does it so well. Like, and that's the back and forth. I love also the other thing I really like about this in comparison to the '96 movie is actually less focus on the Wormwood family and more time actually at the school, because like you don't have the going to the car yard, you don't have all these other sorts of directions. Like I think it's because Danny DeVito directed himself. Obviously, he put maybe more time on those characters and stuff like that. But this movie spends a lot more time at the school, especially when the majority of the songs happen there and whatnot. You've also got the character, the librarian. I don't remember the character's name. Like obviously the traveling librarian that she's sort of friends with as well. And I love this movie. This was like a late second surprise, and straight away went onto my shortlist for some of my favorite movies of the 2022. So very good.
Yeah, I think it's been interesting. Like hearing like some of the discussion around it and how like it's one. Obviously, there's the telekinetic element of it that is very reduced to what it was in the '96 film. Probably because they had to somehow do it on stage. And it's much harder to do on stage than it is to do on film. But also like how much you can clearly see that this Matilda's like much more mentally has been through the mental ringer with her parents. And like
it's a lot darker than the '96.
It is kind of darker, yeah. Did you have a favorite song?
Oh, fuck, that's hard, isn't it? Oh, no, that's too hard. I can't. No. They're all very good. I'd have to think harder about that.
Yeah. First instinct is probably Quiet, but I do love When I Grow Up. That's a great song as well. So, Dylan, you checked out White Noise, the newest film by Noah Baumbach, starring Adam Driver and Greta Gerwig. That's it.
Yes, even I forgot who was in this movie for a hot moment. This is a weird movie, which is apparently based on a weird book that people thought would be really hard to adapt. And I think that's the case, because it is, I don't know, to be honest. Like, did I enjoy it? At times. At other times, I don't know what I was watching. It's 3 movies in one. It changes genres like just at snap of a finger. The point of the point of the whole movie sort of maybe is lost on me to a degree. They're good performances, sure, but yeah, I would say ultimately it it lost me by the end to the point the credits started rolling, and I'd sort of already zoned out. I'd stopped caring, so that's where I am with this one. Sorry.
All right. So I've binge watched the newly released That 90s Show, sorry, which is a sequel series to That 70s Show, which of course was a big hit in the 2000s, spawned a bunch of careers. So it follows Eric and Donna's daughter, who comes to go visit her grandparents for 4th of July weekend. She meets a bunch of new friends in Paradise Point, where the kids from That 70s Show, where the town That 70s Show was set, and she decides she wants to stay there for the summer because she's made all these new friends and she doesn't really have any friends at where she currently lives with her parents. So yeah, it follows her summer. They're meeting all these new friends and having very similar adventures to what they had in That 70s Show. I enjoyed it. It's only been out 4 days or something, and I've watched all 10 episodes, so I mean, that has to speak for something. There is a little bit of the nostalgia elements of it. Like, there's obviously a lot of cameos from, Topher Grace and Laura Prepon, Wilma Vanderarma, Ashton Kutcher, and Mila Kunis show up for a quick second. I enjoyed it. There's, some 90s references, and they're, all wearing flannel and listening to 90s songs and that kind of stuff. But there's still the classic elements of them all smoking weed in the basement, and that kind of stuff. So I enjoyed it. I don't think it's been getting pretty harsh reviews, I think. I think it's enjoyable enough. Obviously, Kurtwood Smith and Deborah Jo Rupp, it's like they're straight back in that groove of what they did in that show. But yeah, I had a good time. I think it's if you got nostalgia for that show, give it a shot. I enjoy some of the kids because it's all like a whole new batch of kids in the basement. So yeah, I enjoyed it. So we've both watched The Hatchet-Wielding Hitchhiker. So did you remember the hatchet-wielding hitchhiker? Did you know this story before going?
Yeah, not the full story, but I knew.
You saw the viral video back in the day.
I've seen the viral. I know the meme. I know the dude was in prison like that. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I knew the basic. Yeah.
So yes, at some point, this guy stops a dude from attacking some people with a hatchet by smashing him on the back of the head. He gets interviewed by a news crew, and he says he stopped him by going smash and smash and smash, and it becomes a viral hit. He's a nomad who goes around the country, living off other people's goodwill and that kind of stuff. And he becomes kind of a celebrity because of this. And there's all these different entertainment crews trying to get him to do reality shows or just appear in Jimmy Kimmel and all that stuff. So, it kind of goes into that, and then eventually he gets accused of murder. And I think it's a very interesting story, a wild story. I don't know who's telling the truth in certain regards. Was he actually guilty? I would say probably. But is there a reason why he did the actions that he did? We guess we'll never know, really. But fascinating story, especially if, like me, you maybe missed some of what actually happened.
I thought it was an okay documentary. I feel like it doesn't touch on the most interesting story and the direction for documentary, and maybe they couldn't do it, maybe they just couldn't make it happen, maybe it relies too much on more information, but I mean, that's sometimes documentaries require a lot of digging and information, that's the whole point, but the centerpiece is this is, okay, well, he's in jail for killing someone. Why did he kill that person? When you boil it back, it's potentially to do with what happened to him as a kid and the cause and effect. And of course, that's not an excuse for what he did, if you believe he did it, which is up for debate, I guess. But that's sort of the most interesting. Or I say interesting, that's a nice subject, but as far as documentary goes, that would have been the onion layer to peel away and the most compelling direction to take the documentary. But it's sort of just the final,
very surface level.
That then they're just and that's a thing, that could be a possibility. Also, blah blah blah. here's that woman talking about how she used to be executive producer on Kim Kardashian's again, and credits. Like, it's very vapid documentary, I feel.
All right. Speaking of some other documentaries, you watched Descendant.
Yeah, this was interesting. So this is, I can't remember the town and the, do you have IMDb open with the town or
Nope.
what's actual? I'm gonna find it. Alright, so IMDb followed descendants of survivors from the Clotilda, the last ship that carried enslaved Africans to the United States as they reclaim the story. So yeah, it sort of follows these bunch of people that live in, and they made like a town there, wherever, like in this American city or this town, wherever it is, like in the South, I think. They make like, there was this place called African Town, which was where some of the slaves at the time like set up a place, sort of went to make it Africa. But then there's this bunch of people who are descendants from the potential last slave ship to ever enter America. But this last ship wasn't actually supposed to come in. This was after the time they said, all right, no more slavery, like no more. No more. They didn't say no more. They said no more bringing in slaves from Africa. But these other people, apparently, the story goes that they snuck in a bunch of slaves on a ship, and this town, and there's a story like it's potentially buried at the bottom of the ocean here. So the story, it goes with the people who are trying to discover this, like how they go deep sea diving to find proof for this. The descendants of those slaves at the time, their family members, and how they sort of want their history to be recognized as a reality of America, and all these sorts of interesting directions. So yeah, I thought it was a really intriguing and interesting story. Yeah.
All right. I watched Pepsi. Where's my jet? This is a documentary series.
I went from racism and slavery, and he went to Pepsi, and they do tie in together because Kendall Jenner did use them to end.
Yeah, he did. So. She did stop racism with Pepsi. So this is about so in the 1990s, Pepsi ran a promotion where you could, like, if you cut the labels off, you could get Pepsi points. And then you could trade in these Pepsi points for like t-shirts or sunglasses or, any merch and that kind of stuff. Pretty, standard kind of promotion. But they ran an ad in which they have a kid flying to school in a Harrier jet, and it's 70 million points. You can get this Harrier jet. Unfortunately, they did not put any disclaimers on the ad saying that, the jet is not actually for sale. So this kid's like, hey, I want to get a Harrier jet. So he finds a way to get the 70 million points, sends it in. Pepsi's like, nah, we're not giving you a jet. So he proceeds to take them to court. And this kind of follows the court case and like the media buzz around the story, all the characters, like what, why couldn't he get the jet, and kind of the lasting influence this case actually had, where now it's something that gets taught in like law school and that kind of stuff for like different legal elements and that kind of stuff. So I think it's interesting. Interesting story. I think they kind of stretch it out maybe a bit. It's like 4 episodes. It probably could have condensed it a little bit more. But yeah, there's some wild stories. They bring up a whole marketing campaign they had in I think it was the Philippines, that like Pepsi like completely fucked over a bunch of people. As like a reason why they should have to pay for this jet and that kind of stuff. And there's like heaps of different characters involved in the story, which make it an interesting thing. And then they've got this weird thing through the entire series where whenever they have a new interviewer, they like do a blind taste test of like Coke and Pepsi to see which one they like more.
That's what these fucking clips are coming. I've seen these clips on Twitter, and it's from this, is it? Okay, right.
Maybe.
Yeah, I've seen clips from this. I swear. Like, if it's a taste testing,
yeah. So yeah, Pepsi, where's my jet? It's a good question. Dylan, you watched Downfall, the case against Boeing.
Yeah, this was really interesting. It sort of follows the Boeing company and their particular jet. I can't remember the exact number of it, but, like 79, whatever. Jet, which they have one crash. This was a couple of years ago. I think this is going I don't know, maybe this starts around 2017 or something like that. It's not like super old, but they start having like one crashes and a bunch of, like, they all die, and that's like really sad and horrible. And of course they sort of, you know, like they do an investigation and they try and say it's this and that, and it sort of covers how Boeing covered all these elements up, and they continue to fly this particular plane and not ground them until they could find the cause, because they want to make money, of course, like any company. But because of the lack of, let's ground these particular plane until we can find the cause, because we can't actually figure out what caused the plane to crash in this case, because sometimes it's, I guess, easier than others. Another one crashes and they die, and then eventually then it even they all get grounded all around they end up having to call them all back. There's this whole court case covering it. You've got people appearing in court, you know, this awful scene you have to watch where of course the big head suit wearing people from Boeing they're sitting in a courtroom, and you get the people who want to speak on behalf of their family members who died to sort of say like what their lack of due diligence when it came to like the first time was like they would have been in trouble anyway, like there's a lack of testing that went on anyway, but especially the second plane where it's like, let's just keep flying before we can figure it out. So, but what it comes down to is just cost cutting, inability to test these things properly, the just desire to make money, like just the lack of care for human life over money, you know. So, I found it really interesting, but yeah, again, makes you feel like shit.
Then you also watched Our Father.
Yeah, you watched this one, right?
Yes.
Yeah, this was fucked up, hey?
Yes.
Yeah, it's insane. So for people who don't know, this one's about this small American town where it starts with one woman who starts trying to track down her dad, because she's a
biological father,
track down her biological father, and she ends up tracing it back to this fertility doctor. And then from that moment on, it just fucking spiraled. Like, it just, I swear there's only 5. And like, it was a fertility doctor who was using his own sperm. And then he starts saying it was only for times when they couldn't get an actual donor. And then suddenly it spirals from there to the point that you're like, man, everyone in this radius, I'm pretty sure are all related to each other and will be for the rest of history, unless they all decide to move to different states and countries. Because, yeah, that's just,
yeah. That the counter that keeps going up.
Yeah,
pretty scary.
Throughout the movie. Yeah, and they say at the time of the movie, this is what the count is at the end, and it's still growing. So
yeah, because obviously the Ancestry.com and like 23andMe and that kind of stuff has helped. People find out that they're related to this terrible person. So
it's even worse when you find out that the daughter of like one of them, like it's like the daughter of someone who thought
the father's sperm had been used. Yeah.
No, well, yeah, that she thought it would be in like someone else's, but I was thinking that there's a woman who her mum had used the same fertility doctor, but she didn't know. But then the daughter uses the fertility doctor, and that means that you know what that means. Like that's yes. Yes. Yeah, so it's very fucked up is what it is. Yeah. And the reason why he's doing it? I mean, I think you put your hand up, but like they dig into why, and it basically comes down to he's fucking part of some fucked up weird cult
I forgot about that part.
Fucking make sure the white race is living on and whatever else, like just absolute fucking insanity.
So yeah, that's craziness. Segueing from that, I checked out the second season of Last Chance U Basketball, which follows a community college basketball team over their season. Follows on from the events of the last season, obviously with COVID kind of being in between, so it's a whole new cast of players. Just really fun, enjoyable series. Obviously, that's a lot of kids who have had a lot of hardship and, struggle sometimes in this team environment, especially because of the format of basketball. There's 12 players on the squad. There's only 5 people playing at any given time. people struggling with not getting enough playing time and that kind of stuff. A chance to showcase their skills. Yeah, I think it is probably it's up there as one of the better Netflix sports documentary shows that they do currently. So, yeah, that's really good. I also watched The Recruit, which dropped right after we recorded our last episode. So this follows Noah Centineo's character has just started working as a lawyer at the CIA. He is tasked with like checking a bunch of like letters sent to the CIA making threats and like to see if they're like actual viable threats or like something that can actually be carried out or just like bullshit. And he soon finds himself in a massive like international scene kind of thing and kind of gets in way over his head, dealing with foreign spies and all kinds of crazy stuff. I really enjoyed it. Noah Centineo, I think, is a very charming dude for the most part. Of course, people know him from To All the Boys I Ever Loved series. But yeah, I think this is a really good role for him. He does get the chance to do like action kind of stuff, but like still be like, he's still just a lawyer, a young kid who's a lawyer, just out of law school. But he's in these crazy like action-packed sequences where he's getting chased by dudes with guns and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think it was a really solid series. Dylan, you watched The Wonder starring Florence Pugh.
Yeah, what an actress. You know what I mean? Have I ever said that Florence Pugh is a good actress before?
I think you have, yeah.
That's good. So this movie,
Once or
is... Sorry?
Once or twice.
Once or twice, The Wonder, it's set during, I don't know, like early 19s or late 18s or, you know, some shit like that back in the day. It's about this, she plays a nurse who gets called to this small town because there's apparently a kid who hasn't eaten anything for, I think at the time, like 3-4 months. And so she's called there from she's called upon there as well as a nun, who are both to take turns, like a sort of 8-hour, 12-hour shifts or whatever it is, being with this child, watching her and making sure that, you know, like, is this real? Like, because from the church aspect, they're like, man, if someone's able to not eat, are they like a fucking, you know, are they the fucking second coming of Jesus or some shit? I don't know. And then from her aspect, she's there to sort of watch over the child. Like, is she okay? Like, is she actually healthy? Like, if she's not eating, like, is she actually surviving? Like, how's this all working? So it's like a mystery thriller, I guess, like set during like a period piece mystery thriller. It's very good. Florence Pugh gives an amazing performance in this. She has such like versatility as an actress. It's crazy. It's hard to say too much about spoiling it, but yeah, some really beautiful cinematography, especially for something that's set like a period piece cinematography. Little use of music and stuff, but it's just a really interesting mystery character piece. I like the way it all came together at the end. I felt satisfied with the conclusion, if you want to call it that. But yeah, very good.
All right. You also watched The Pale Blue Eye, starring Christian Bale.
Yeah, so this is the Christian Bale, again, a period piece, I guess. Well, it's not really a period. Is it like the Civil War era period? I guess, I don't know. It's a period. Christian Bale plays this character who's called upon by I don't know, like the military, I guess, to come to their military school, where a body had been found hung, but more so than just that, it had also been found with the heart cut out. The heart was missing. So he sort of plays a detective trying to figure out the case around here. Now, the standout from this movie is, what's his name? Old mate Neville, or whatever his name is, fucking from Harry Potter movies. What's his name? Harry something or whatever.
Harry
Melling. Yeah, Harry Melling plays Edgar Allan Poe in this. So that's the tie-in. Like the real author, poet, Edgar Allan Poe, who's played by Harry Melling in this, because Edgar Allan Poe in real life was in the cadets for a time, and like of course this isn't actually a true story that happened to him, but it's just sort of those like tying in real world figures and whatever else. But so he sort of is recruited by Christian Bale's character to sort of help him on his case on the sly because he thinks he can trust him. And then of course more dead bodies start turning up. So it's like a thriller murder mystery set during this particular period, tying in Edgar Allan Poe. I thought it was okay. It's definitely too long. It drags. I don't think Christian Bale's like particularly good in this. Like he's like, it's not saying he's bad. I just feel like I just feel like he brought anything to the role, and maybe that's the point. I don't know. Like I didn't feel like he was a particularly interesting character. And by the time you get to the end of the movie, I almost feel like I needed someone else for the ending of this movie and the way that it wraps up. For it to work for me, I sort of needed something else from the performance, and he just didn't deliver it to me. However, Harry Melling is fantastic. He's almost too much. Like in some scenes, he is meant to be annoying, like as a character, but he is really fucking annoying. Like, but it's sort of he just talks and talks and talks. He'll fucking yap your ear off. So, yeah, it's an interesting movie. I don't know if I would suggest it to everyone, but yeah, if you like murder mysteries, I guess.
All right. So again, we recorded our last episode right before Christmas. I watched Who Killed Santa? A Murderville murder mystery. Who Killed Santa? A Murderville murder mystery. This is a like movie length follow up to Murderville, which was a series in which Will Arnett plays Detective Terry Seattle, and who gets teamed up with like a celebrity guest partner detective. It's a bunch of improv situations where, you know, they have to solve a mystery, but there's thrown into a bunch of sets and that kind of stuff without any knowledge of what they're going into. This time, Santa, the Santa at the mayor's Christmas party gets murdered the night before Christmas. The night before he's meant to go deliver a bunch of presents to orphans. So Terry Seattle and Jason Bateman gets tasked with the task of figuring out who murdered Santa Claus, and then Maya Rudolph gets added into the mix as an extra detective to make sure they solve the case before Christmas. Very funny. Obviously, Will Arnett and Jason Bateman have a lot of history, so you know a lot of jokes, and they're trying very hard to make each other laugh this entire episode, and succeed a lot because there is clearly a lot of like trying to hide their faces at certain points because they're like only doing like one or two takes of stuff. Very enjoyable. The icing on top is they get Sean Hayes to play Santa. So they get him to come in and play a dead body. Because obviously I think Jason Bateman, Will Arnett and Sean Hayes have like a podcast together. Is a thing. Yeah, I believe so. They do like a, you know, talking heads kind of thing. Like bullshit podcast. Like a couch between the cushions, which you can find on all good podcast services. So yeah, there's a point where, you know, he's lying on the ground, supposed to be dead, but, you know, he's just corpsing and laughing. And it's like, Jason Bateman's like, oh, maybe I can give him mouth to mouth. Sure, he's got this massive candy cane stuck in his chest, but, so yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a good time. I would recommend watching it next Christmas if you didn't watch it this Christmas. And then, Dylan, you finished watching Wednesday.
Yeah, it's, Wednesday was good. I like the way it wrapped up. Definitely look forward to the second season. I don't know if that kid will be in it because I've seen him get cancelled on Twitter today, but that's a whole different thing. I don't really know how much. I can't remember how much I said last time, but yeah, it's an interesting take on Wednesday. I sort of enjoy the teen vibe, I guess, direction. Like everyone talked about it being like Harry Potter, but Wednesday and whatever else, like all these. It's got that school teen vibe, that Riverdale vibe, or whatever. And that works. Like, I fell off of Riverdale because it got stupid, but, like, could I survive a few more seasons of Wednesday? Probably, as long as it doesn't go too far down the rabbit hole. But, yeah, obviously Jenna Ortega's the key piece of this, because if the performance of Wednesday wasn't as good as it was, I don't feel like everything else in the show would be as enjoyable. Like, she's the glue, like, the perfect casting glue that makes the entire show work.
Yep. All right, that's everything in our watch history. Wow. I think
Wow.
That's a new record. Yeah, so I've only got one piece of film news that I kind of wanted to touch on this week, because it has been very quiet over the Christmas period, and like
Thank
a lot
God.
of the bigger stuff is out of date. But the Screen Actors Guild is going to be streamed live on Netflix in 2023. It seems like they're making a bigger push for live content. They're starting with Screen Actors Guild Awards. This year they'll be streaming it, but on their YouTube channel. So in a statement, Netflix head of Global TV, Bella Bajara, said, "The SAG Awards are beloved by the creative community and viewers alike, and now even more fans around the world will be able to celebrate these talented actors. As we begin to explore live streaming on Netflix, we look forward to partnering with SAG-AFTRA to elevate and expand this special ceremony as a global live event in 2024 and the years to come." Dylan, what do you think of Netflix pushing into live events content? Because, of course, they've got that Chris Rock special that they've been pushing up as well as their first kind of foray into live content.
Yeah, I think it's smart. I think it's a good idea. It gets people to tune in. Like, it's sort of funny because the whole idea of streaming, of course, is you watch it whenever you want. It's there. We drop every fucking episode at a time. You can watch it all at once or you can watch it later. And now they're like, here's a thing. You have to watch it at the exact same time with everyone else at this particular thing. So it's funny, but I definitely feel like in a world where they already do so much stand-up comedy content, they do concert content, like a concert documentary content, it's like, why not start performing in the live category? And then you just have that content roll over into being available for viewing anyway afterwards. Like, you draw in a bunch of viewers at one time, because the thing is with Netflix, they want those first 2 week hits, right? That's when it matters to them. Anything after that, they don't give two fucks. So if they can draw in for a particular show, they can draw in a fuck ton of people to watch it, and then they still get views afterwards that they don't really care about, but they get the initial like commitment by people. That's what they want. So yeah, I think it's I feel like it's a good market to be in.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Obviously, the SAG Awards are a pretty big one, so I'd make it easily available to everyone is like super good for them. For Netflix pushing into live content, I think I've read other places, and I tend to agree that they're looking at building that platform, like building up their live video streaming infrastructure, because they want to make a bit more of a push into actual acquiring sports and like having exclusive rights to some sporting league to have on Netflix. Because obviously sport is a big draw everywhere around the world. Yeah. So if they can find some sport to stick on their service and be able to show it live, and then, you know, it being on the service, I guess, forever, that would be a huge get. And like, obviously, I believe Apple in America, Apple TV, it does like baseball games and some football, and that kind of stuff. So I mean, it wouldn't, if that's what they're kind of trialing out with a lot of these kind of events, that makes sense. But also, if they want to push that kind of stuff, especially like you said, their first 24-hour thing is it's such a massive thing. So if you have something that's a live thing that everybody can do at the exact same time, everybody around the world could be live tweeting about it at the same moment. It makes sense. And really, I think we'd really like them to do a lot of award shows. All of our favorite award shows, we probably prefer them to be on Netflix because they won't have, you know, ads or cut speeches, or, you know, there's no time restrictions and that kind of stuff. So this seems like an interesting move going forward. So yeah, that's kind of the only thing I want to touch on. The other thing that just came to mind, rumors bringing around all over the world, WWE is up for sale. What did you think about, obviously, Vince McMahon coming back to WWE, apparently to facilitate a sale of the company?
The reports that he's selling it is like concrete. That's like he's 100% selling it. That part's not really up for debate. The who is the question in the room. I don't know. I think I don't really have to. The fact that he disappeared for how long, and now the reports are coming out that he literally just basically settled
forced his way back on.
Hash money. The last person who was accusing him of any of these sexual assaults and whatever else, he hush moneyed someone, and then he comes out of hiding and he's like, "I'm going to sell it," and I don't know. I don't know. I don't feel like there's anything good The only good that comes out of this is for shareholders. As far as, is there any good that comes out of any of this for the talent and the audience? No. I feel like there's only negative things that happens for talent and audience.
Yeah. I mean, it's good in that Vince McMahon won't have any more holding in the company, I guess, if they sell it. That's a positive. It's also a positive that the rumors that they was going to sell it to Saudi Arabia were shot down. I believe Nick Khan came out in interviews and said that definitely not happening, or wasn't happening. And apparently the front runner is Comcast, is the bookie's favorite for who they're going to sell the company to, which makes sense because they've already got that deal with with Peacock in America. But yeah, it's interesting. There could be a day where the McMahons don't own WWE anymore. So craziness. Let's move into our annual Trakt year in review. So, of course, we here at the Explosion Network choose to use the excellent service Trakt to keep track of all our TV and film viewings. Shout out to the team at Trakt, who had a massive data breach or database failure back in November.
It wasn't a breach. It was just our data wasn't stolen. It was
no, not breach, but like a failure in the database or whatever.
Yeah.
A server crash or something. And we're able to recover a lot of the missing data and get themselves back up. Yeah. Trakt, if you want to sponsor us, if you want to send us a t-shirt,
say this every year,
please.
Probably just email.
So yeah, if you're a VIP member of Trakt, you're able to view your year in review stats, giving your full stats for the entire year. So yeah, Dylan, how about we start off with what was your first play of 2022?
I have some boring answers to a lot of these, unfortunately. I'm sorry, but
yes,
my first play of 2022.
Number one request: please let us separate sports entertainment or specials from the categories. Let
me put AEW in the category of sport and move it out of like normal TV shows. Like,
let me filter the end results in some way.
Yeah, something like that. So it's sort of annoying, but first play 2022 was All Elite Wrestling Rampage at 2 p.m. on January 1st.
My first play of 2022 was Station 11, Episode 1, Wheel of Fire, January 1st, 3:31 p.m. A series that I watched 2 episodes of and did not go back to, but I feel like I really should because I've seen a lot of people continue to praise it in the time since. Dylan, in 2022, how many hours did you watch and how many shows?
So in 2022, I watched 555 hours for 85 TV shows.
Okay. So in 2022, I watched 686 hours of 121 TV shows.
That's up.
It does add up.
You always beat me in the TVs.
Yeah. So what's the breakdown of hours and plays per day?
So per month, 46.2 hours. Per week, 10.5, which boils down to 1.5 per day hours.
Yep, so I had 57.2 hours per month, which is 12.9 hours per week, which is 1.9 hours per day. Yeah. Alright, so what were your top 10 most played shows 2022?
Yeah, annoyingly, the top end of this is fucked. Number 10, Better Call Saul, 13 plays, a total of 11 hours, 33 minutes. Number 9, Being the Elite, 14 plays, 4 hours, 12 minutes total. Number 8.
Did they only put out 14 episodes last year?
No, I just didn't watch many. So it's just.
Oh.
Number 8, Ozark, 14 plays, 14 hours watched. Number 7, Russian Doll, 15 plays, 7 hours, 4 minutes total. Number 6, Lego Masters Australia, 17 plays, 19 hours, 39 minutes watched. Number 5, Abbott Elementary, 20 plays, 7 hours, 20 minutes. Number 4, 26 plays of Superstore for 9 hours and 7 minutes. Number 3, All Elite Wrestling Rampage, 54 plays, 1 day, 23 hours, 39 minutes. Number 2, All Elite Wrestling Dynamite, 54 plays for 3 days, 8 hours, and 50 minutes. You're shaking your head because you thought that was going to be number 1, right?
Of course, yeah.
Number 1, Pokemon. 65 plays for a total of 1 day, 55 minutes.
All right. Yeah, that's cool. All right. My list. Number 10, American Vandal, 16 players, 9 hours, 4 minutes. Number 9, Young Rock, 18 players, 6 hours, 36 minutes. Number 8, Welcome to Wrexham, 18 plays, 8 hours, 27 minutes. Number 7 is The Flash, 18 plays, 13 hours, 12 minutes. Number 6, Abbott Elementary, 23 plays, 8 hours, 26 minutes. Number 5 is Ranking of Kings, 23 plays, 8 hours, 49 minutes. Number 4 is Oishi, 24 plays, 9 hours, 36 minutes. Number 3, Star Trek Lower Decks, 30 plays, 12 hours, 37 minutes. Number 2, The Neighborhood, 92 plays, 1 day, 9 hours, 42 minutes.
What is The Neighborhood?
So that's the Cedric the Entertainer comedy.
Right,
sitcom.
yeah, I remember you talking about this, yeah.
Yes. My number 1.
Yep, there we go.
Modern Family.
Yeah. Because you were doing
250 plays.
Jesus.
4 days, 8 hours, 10 minutes. Towards the end of the year, I suddenly got the urge to watch.
Yeah, I saw.
And I just powered through
Yeah, I saw.
all 11
saw.
seasons.
Yeah, don't worry, I saw.
Yeah. So what were your top 5 documentaries of TV shows?
Sorry?
So documentaries, they've got percentage underneath.
Documentary TV.
Oh, no, like genres.
Oh, genres, right.
What were your top 5 genres of...
Okay, that makes sense. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, I have no idea. I don't know how you're finding this. My number 1 was drama, 34 shows. Number 2 was science fiction, 24 shows. Number 3 was, I guess, tied, but fantasy, 24 shows. Then we had comedy with 20 shows, and then adventure, 19 shows.
Okay, my top 5, comedy with 43 shows, drama with 39 shows, science fiction with 33 shows, fantasy with 33 shows, and documentary with 32 shows. What was your highest network? What was the biggest network?
Netflix by far.
Netflix as well, yeah. 36. All right. What were your hours in movies that you watched?
In 2022, I watched 460 hours of 234 movies.
Man, I really thought I had a chance this year.
Every year, I just smash yours. Give me your number.
306 hours, 170 movies.
Come on, get on my level.
I mean, that's still pretty competitive. So that, on my end, that's 25.5 hours per month, 5.8 hours per a week, which equates to 0.8 hours per day.
So 38.4 per month, 8.7 per week, 1.3 per day.
Yeah. So most watched movies, do you want to give you a top 10? I have a feeling we're going to have a lot of crossover.
Oh, there's there's still some ones in here I wish, like, with them counting the wrestling pay-per-views, like, obviously that's only like a handful, like maybe like it would bring it down to like fucking 220 something maybe. But anyway, number 10, New Japan Wrestle Kingdom 16 Night 2, 4 hours, 1 play. Number 9, New Japan Wrestle Kingdom 16 Night 1, 4 hours, 1 play. Number 8, WWE WrestleMania 38 Saturday, 4 hours, 5 minutes, 1 play. Number 7, The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King Extended, 4 hours, 10 minutes, 1 play. Number 6, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, 4 hours, 12 minutes, 2 plays. Number 5, Nope, 4 hours, 20 minutes, 2 plays. Number 4, Top Gun Maverick, 4 hours, 22 minutes, 2 players. Number 3, AEW Double or Nothing, 4 hours, 40 minutes, 1 play. Number 2, Glass Onion, A Knives Out Mystery, 4 hours, 40 minutes, 2 plays. And number 1, The Batman, 5 hours, 54 minutes for 2 plays.
All right. My number 10, Black Panther Wakanda Forever, 2 hours, 42 minutes, 1 play. Number 9, The Dark Knight Rises, 2 hours, 45 minutes, 1 play. Number 8, The Hobbit Unexpected Journey, 2 hours, 49 minutes, 1 play. Number 7, The Batman, 2 hours, 57 minutes, 1 play. Number 6, Avatar The Way of Water, 3 hours, 12 minutes, 1 play. Number 5, Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring Extended, 3 hours, 28 minutes, 1 play. Number 4, The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, extended. 3 hours, 43 minutes, one play. Number 3, The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, extended. 4 hours, 10 minutes, one play. Number 2, Top Gun Maverick, 4 hours, 22 minutes, 2 plays. Number 1, the best movie of 2022, Everything Everywhere All at Once, 4 hours, 40 minutes, 2 plays. Dylan, what were your top 5 genres in movies?
My top 5 genres were 70 action movies, 69 nice thrillers, 68 drama movies, 65 comedy films, and 57 horror movies.
Well, how many thrillers overall did you watch?
69.
Were they all nice?
Oh, yeah, I don't know. They're all nice. They're all nice.
All right. Mine were 63 for comedies, 54 action movies, 41 drama movies, 40 adventure movies, and 35 science fiction movies. Dylan, who were your top 5 most watched people in 2022?
My most watched people. Oh, fuck. Did you say top 5? You ready for this?
Yeah, top 5. Yeah.
Darren Matthews. Do you know who that is?
No idea.
Also known as William Regal.
Oh.
Number 4, Jonathan Good. Do you know who that is?
No.
Also known as John Moxley. Number 3. Sorry, I forgot to say how many things. It doesn't matter. Fuck it. Number 3, Matthew Macy Jr. Do you know who that is?
Is that Jungle Boy?
Nope, Matt Jackson.
Oh.
Number 2, Nicholas Lee Macy. Do you know who that is?
Luchasaurus.
Nick Jackson. Number 1, Chris Irvine. Do you know who that is?
Oh, that's Chris Jericho.
That's Chris Jericho. That's right. My top 5 are all wrestlers. Sorry. Do you want actions?
Please fix this track.
Yeah, I know. It's annoying. We go through this every year. So I should almost see if
my top 5.
people below that. Like, who are the bottom 5? Let's see if there's non-wrestling people here. Nope. It's, no mind. You go. It's fucked.
My number 5. Liam Neeson with 4 movies and 2 shows. Number 4 is Ian McKellen with 6 movies. Number 3 is Chris Pratt with 6 movies. Number 2 is Vin Diesel with 6 movies. And number 1 is Fred Tatasciore with 5 movies, 2 shows. She's a voice actor. Dylan, who are your top 5 most watched actresses?
I actually have one real
Yeah?
actual non-wrestling answer. Number 5, Anna Marie Jernigan. Do you know who that is?
Anna J?
Correct. Number 4, Tony Russell. Who do you reckon that is?
Tony Storm.
Yeah. Number... Oh, fuck, I'm going the right direction, huh? Went down, not up. What the fuck was I? Number 3, sorry. Number 3, Maya Rudolph.
That's my Rudolph.
What the fuck? But yeah, okay. Number 2, Brittany Baker. Do you know who that is?
I feel like it's probably Britt Baker.
It's probably Britt Baker, yeah. Number 1, Tainara Mello. Do you know who that is?
No.
Yeah, cool. It's Tay Mello. Yeah, they're my top ones.
My top 5. Number 5, Stephanie Beatrice, 4 shows. Number 4 is Kimia Biporina, 4 shows. Number 3 is Terry Douglas, 5 shows. Number 2 is Ali Wong, 3 movies, 2 shows. And my number 1, Maya Rudolph.
Oh, yeah.
1 movie, 6 shows. Who are your top 5 most watched directors?
So number 5, Paris Barclay, two shows. Directed episodes of The Watcher and what's the other thing? Dharma. Well, no, what's his name? What the fuck's it? The serial killer dude?
Yeah, Dharma.
Dharma? Yeah, okay. Number 4, Christopher Nolan for 3 movies. Fuck, I went the wrong direction again. Hold on. Number 3, Colin Trevorrow for 3 movies. Number 2, Peter Jackson for 5 movies. And then number 1, Christian Lepore for 3 movies. Director of the Groot specials.
Interesting. I feel like this is actually wrong, but or one of them is wrong. Number 5 is Beth McCarthy Miller, who did a bunch of sitcom TV shows. Ken Whittingham, who did also a bunch of sitcom TV shows. Number 3 is Steven Spielberg. Number 2 is Kristen Lepore. Number 1, Peter Jackson, 5 movies, but it should be 6. I don't know why it isn't.
Yeah.
Who are your top 5 most watched writers? The Nicholas Pryor segment.
Was it?
The honorary Nicholas Pryor segment.
Nicholas Pryor segment?
Because he requested they add writers to this category.
That's true, and they did. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, so.
Number 5, Bob Kane, 6 movies. Number 4, George Lucas, 2 movies, 4 shows. Number 3, J.R.R. Tolkien, 5 movies, 1 show. Number 2, Stan Lee, 6 movies, 1 show. And number 1, Michael Crichton, for 8 movies, 1 show.
Interesting. Mine is number 5, J.R.R. Tolkien for 5 movies, 1 show. Stan Lee at number 4 with 5 movies, 1 show. Michael Crichton at number 3 with 7 movies. George Lucas, number 2 with 2 movies, 5 shows. And Bob Kane with 9 movies. So yeah. And what was your last play of 2022?
Very boring answer. It was AEW Rampage.
And my final movie was Confess Flesh, which I talked about earlier. All right, that's our Trakt year in review. Wow. Yeah, Trakt separate the WWE stuff.
AEW.
Yeah. Also, I think with the writing category, maybe separate it to the actual people who wrote the screenplay, or as much as I appreciate Bob Kane and Stan Lee,
just not separate. Take out people who it's just based upon the works of, or whatever, like any of that sort of stuff.
Yeah, there needs to be some fine tuning down there.
Yeah. Do you want to? I got highest rated.
Well, even like I said, they should maybe separate the directors to film and TV, separate ones.
Yeah. Because I actually rate stuff on Trakt. So my highest rated movies on Trakt were, they were all 9s. So the 9s I've got. How many is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, so 10. They give me 10 things I gave 9s to. Ronald Dahl's Matilda the Musical, Glass Onion and Knives Out Mystery, Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, AEW Full Gear, All Quiet on the Western Front, or City of Zed, The Santa Claus, The Northman, Top Gun Maverick, and The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. Do I think all those things are 9s? I round up. There's no halves on Trakt, so
okay.
I'm a lot loosey goosey, but anyway, they're the things I go.
All right, let's give some thumbs to some trailers. Of course, you can find all the trailers we're going to talk about today in the show notes below, and there were a lot of trailers since we last recorded, but I picked the top 5 most important trailers of the past month. Let's kick things off. Beau is Afraid, directed by Ari Aster, starring Joaquin Phoenix, Nathan Lane, Patti LuPone, Amy Ryan, Kylie Rogers, Parker Posey, Stephen McKinley Henderson, Kaylee Squires, Michael Gandolfini, Zoe Lister-Jones, and Richard Kind. A paranoid man embarks on an epic odyssey to get home to his mother. Dylan, what did you think of the trailer of Beau is Afraid?
Double thumbs up. It's absolute insanity. I have no idea what this movie is about. I don't understand if it's actually a horror movie or if it's not. People still don't know. I don't know if it's a comedy or not. I don't know if it's a weird drama or not. I don't know what this movie is, but the trailer is like, it makes you want to watch it. Makes you go, what the fuck is this? Like, this is just a weird, it's just Joaquin Phoenix, and at one point it looks like he's wandering through the yellow brick road and whatever else is going on. So yeah, I mean, it's from Ari Aster, of course, director of Hereditary and Midsommar, so you got the pedigree here, and apparently the original version of this movie was like fucking 4 hours long, 5 hours, I don't know, some ridiculous length. I'm highly intrigued. It's definitely one of the movies I'm looking forward to most in the year because of the director and the writer, but and I'm giving the trailer double thumbs up because it's an entertaining trailer, but I have no idea what this movie is about.
Yeah, I'm also giving 2 thumbs up because it is a wild trailer. Like, so many weird things are happening. And is that kid an actual kid, or is it like they de-age Joaquin Phoenix as far as they could possibly de-age him?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no idea what's happening at all. Like, it looks like Nathan Lane and Amy Ryan have doing some sort of misery situation at one point. the like ankle bracelet, and they're holding him in their house, and like that kind of stuff. But yeah, from there, I have no idea what's happening. You know,
Yep.
he does get hit by a car, so maybe he's dead the entire time.
Could be.
He was. I think the film was rumored to be called Disappointment Boulevard for a long time,
Yeah.
and was meant to come out last year. But of course, then it was 5 hours long, so I mean they had to cut. That's a lot of cutting. So yeah, this is 2 thumbs up from me. So this is coming to Australian cinemas on 20th of April, 2023. Next trailer. Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. Directed by Kelly Freeman Craig. Starring Abby Ryder Forston, Rachel McAdams, Benny Safdie, and Kathy Bates. When her family moves from the city to the suburbs, 11-year-old Margaret navigates new friends, feelings, and the beginning of adolescence. Dylan, what do you think of the trailer for Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret?
I'm going one up, one down. I don't know. So what's the beloved book?
It's the title of the film.
So that's a beloved book?
It's
I've
an
never heard
American
of it.
thing, yeah.
Never heard the book. If it's American thing, cool. But yeah, so I'm going one up, one down.
It's like Lyle Crocodile is based on a beloved book. But
Never heard
none
of
of
it.
us here have ever heard of it.
Because half the trailer, I swear, is from the beloved book. It finally comes to cinemas. After all this time, I'm like, cool, never heard of it. But anyway, once we actually get in the trailer, I was like, yeah, this just seems like could be a charming coming of age story. Like that's the you know, like that's I could be down for this. But yeah, a lot of the trailer focuses, I guess, on targeting it towards people who know the source material. So I was a bit like, yeah. So one up, one down.
Yeah, this is one up, one down from me as well. But my down is because they put introducing Abby Ryder Forsyth when she's already been in 2 massive Marvel movies. Like, come on, you're not introducing anybody.
I am tempted to give it double thumbs down because I didn't get enough Benny Safdie in the trailer. So I mean, there's also that.
Yeah, there's like one segment where he's burned himself on a hand lawnmower.
That's it. I need more.
I don't know. But yeah, I thought it was charming, you know. You know, I think there's a lot there to make it a fun coming of age film. So yeah, this is coming. Oh no, this does not have an Australian release date, but is released in the US on the 28th of April. Next trailer, and taking it in a completely different tone, Evil Dead Rise, directed by Lee Cronin, starring Lily Sullivan, Alyssa Sutherland, Morgan Davies, Gabrielle Eccles, and Nell Fisher. A road-weary Beth pays an overdue visit to her older sister Ellie, who is raising 3 kids on her own in a cramped LA apartment. The sisters' reunion is cut short by the discovery of a mysterious book deep in the bowels of Ellie's building, giving rise to flesh-possessing demons, and thrusting Beth into a primal battle for survival as she is faced with the most nightmarish version of motherhood imaginable. Dylan, what did you think of the trailer for Evil Dead Rise?
I thought it looked absolutely.
This is the
fantastic.
Red Band one that we watched as well, I guess.
Yeah, there's a moment here where someone's
There's
about
a
to,
very graphic scalping that happens in this trailer.
There's also a fucking part with cheese grater that I can't wait to see more of. Your face.
Yeah.
This looks very good. This looks like so. Evil Dead has. I'm gonna be interested to watch it because the thing is like so. Evil Dead was always like graphic. But then the original movie was more serious, but then obviously Evil Dead 2 and 3 were both like very violent while also being like involving more of the comedy. And then the original remake that they put out was like just 100% committed to being like fucked up violent. So this seems to be more in tone with that, which is fine.
Yeah.
I'm down. It looks like taking it away from the cabin setting. Think fuck. I sort of like that's putting it in like sort of claustrophobic apartment setting. I think is very smart.
And fitting as well.
Yeah. So it's sort of the same as a Miller Buttfuck Nowhere canon.
Cramped.
I thought it looked really good. It looks like there's some inventive fucked up kills and stuff happening in here. So that's really good. The mother, just like that part where she's like, "Mummy's here" or whatever. I was just like, that's good shit. I love that. So yeah, I'm very keen to see this. Also, I think it bodes well the fact that this was originally going to go straight to streaming, and then they've decided to put it in theaters. Like that's only a good sign, I think, for the test audiences and like how they feel about the movie. So
this trailer is so graphic and scary that it gets 2 thumbs up from me because I do not want to watch this movie, and that's what you want to hear about a horror movie. Mm-hmm. That I have no desire whatsoever to see it.
It's badge of confidence.
Badge of confidence, that cheese grater. I mean,
Yeah, how good.
You don't see anything, but it's fucking scary. And
You know what's about to happen a second later.
Yeah, there's going to be grated flesh.
Yep, that's right.
Like,
some grated flesh.
No, thank you. I'm fine. But yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how much they flesh it out. Obviously, you see the Omicron, I want to say.
Yeah.
I don't know how to pronounce it properly. It's been a while since I've seen an Evil Dead movie, so yeah. Evil Dead fans, rejoice, because yeah, it was meant to come to HBO Max, I want to say off the top of my head.
I think it was HBO
but,
Max, yeah.
Yeah, so, but now it is coming to Australian cinemas on the 20th of April.
Okay.
Next trailer was for Renfield, directed by Chris McKay, starring Nicholas Hoult, Nicolas Cage, Awkwafina, Ben Schwartz, and Adrian Martinez. Count Dracula's lackey Renfield finds a new lease on life in modern-day New Orleans when he falls in love with Rebecca Quincy, a traffic cop. So, what do you think of the trailer for Renfield?
Double thumbs up. Looks very funny. Nicholas Hoult playing a vampire. I feel like he's nearly played everything. Like, he's played a zombie, he's played a vampire now. Like, he's played a crazy end of the world.
Well, Nicholas Hoult isn't a vampire.
Oh, I mean, isn't he though? Like, he's a half vampire. He's a whatever. Like, he's nearly a vampire.
He's a familiar.
But he's got the power. So, I feel like he's nearly played every type of fantasy creature. But Nicolas Cage playing Dracula, that's perfect. That's everything I need in my life. He was born to do that. So, it looks very funny. Awkwafina looks funny in this. I like the chemistry, the back and forth, and all that sort of stuff. The setup with the jokes about like the self-help group and all that, like the way that plays off in the trailer is very good. So yeah, I'm going double thumbs up. Can't wait for this. I think it looks very good. Obviously, this is a horror movie. I would assume that Ash is okay with watching.
Yeah, there's 2 thumbs up from me, and it does not look like a horror movie in any regard.
It's a horror comedy.
I mean, it's got supernatural elements, but
I bet you it has some like violent kills, but it's still like funny. Like it'll have blood splattering everywhere, but it's funny.
I mean, he's going to be dragging innocent people, and you get their blood, but getting eaten by Dracula. So I mean, he's got that for it. Yeah, I think Nicholas Hoult is like kind of a perfect fit for this kind of thing. I've seen some division on this trailer. Like some people dislike the tone on what they're going for here, but I enjoyed it. I think it looks like it'll be fun, dumb action comedy. Yeah. I mean, he does like sever somebody's arm with like a serving plate, so that's all a force. So Renfield releases in Australian cinemas on 13th of April. Busy April coming up. Final trailer for this week. Scream 6. Directed by Matt Bentinelli Olphin and Tyler Gillette. Starring Melissa Barrera, Jasmine Savoy Brown, Mason Gooding, Jenna Ortega, Hayden Panettiere, Courtney Cox, Dermot Mulroney, Henry Czerny, Samara Weaving, and Tony Revolori. The survivors of the Ghostface killings leave Woodsboro behind and start a fresh chapter in New York City. Dylan, what do you think of the trailer for Scream 6?
Double thumbs up. Can't bloody wait. Let's go. Can't believe if this looks good. Double thumbs up. Great trailer. But if this comes out and it's actually as good as it looks and as good as the last one, like what a fucking banger back to back years that Radio Silence, as they're collectively known, I guess, had directing these 2 Scream movies back to back. That's fucking what a thing. But yeah, I love because they released a teaser obviously on the subway, but then this trailer, just the way it starts with them running in. Because I guess they get the question out of the way straight away. It's like, well, what is Ghostface? Is he just creeping around? Like, what's he doing? But having the trailer just straight up start with them running into what they assume to be a safe place, because it's a public, a 7-Eleven or whatever. And then just running in, and Ghostface just kills everyone there. It's like, okay, well, no, he's going to kill you wherever the fuck you are. They're implying that nowhere's safe from the get go of the trailer, I guess, is a very good way to start the trailer. I like seeing everyone in it. We get to see Hayden Panettiere for 1 second, which is good. Obviously, really looking forward to seeing her return to the franchise. I don't know. The only thing I'd say slight negative would be the implication of the constant reminding of something different and all that. I'm like, okay, this better have a good payoff, or else I'm going to be sort of annoyed. Like if you're going to make the tagline and everything like that, like I'm something different, I'm something else. You've never seen one like me before, and all this sort of stuff. And it's just like, you're just like, well, at the end of the movie, if he's just like any other Ghostface killer, I'll be like, oh, I'll let down. But yeah, double thumbs up. Can't wait.
Yeah, this gets 2 thumbs up from me as well. As someone who's unfamiliar with the Scream lore, I feel like they definitely a shake-up with obviously being in New York City. Makes it feel very different to the other ones. And that whole collector element of someone who's been collecting all these memorabilia from all the ghosts.
Well, that's an interesting thing. Is it, like, now we're going deep down the rabbit hole. And also, just to clarify, Scream 3 also is like set in Hollywood, so there's like a whole thing there. But the Scream, so it could be Scream like memorabilia they've gathered from the crime scene, or it could be stab stuff. That's the thing. Yeah.
It seems like it'll be the first one though.
Yeah,
that'd be more interesting. But yeah, this looks good. I'm intrigued. Will I be seeing Scream 6? We'll see. We'll see how this year pans out.
You will. Yeah.
So this one is releasing on the 9th of March in cinemas. So yeah, not far away. It's crazy. All right, let's wrap up this extra long episode of What Do You Want to Watch with our What Do You Want to Watch top 3.
Definitely in the top 3.
This week, Netflix dropped a full list of their slate of movies for 2023. At least most of them. There might be some hidden gems that they haven't dropped yet, or stuff they acquire during the year. But this is all the original films that they've got planned or filmed or shooting already. So we're going to do our top 3 from this list. You can find it at Netflix Tadam, or I'll link it in the show notes below. So Dylan, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is the animated film Chicken Run, Dawn of the Nugget. I really like the first Chicken Run movie. I watched that a lot as a kid. Has a soft spot in my heart, so maybe it's a little bit of nostalgia. I have no care, I don't give 2 fucks that Mel Gibson and Julia Sal, whatever her name is, aren't returning. It doesn't really bother me. That's fine. It's been ages. I can move on as long as the new performances are fine. That's good. The rest of the cast is really good. You've got bloody Bella Ramsey in this, Zachary Levi, Fanny Newton, a bunch of other people, of course, some Australians in here as well, so that's good. Considering the first one, obviously, Australian. Bunch of Australian actors were in it. So, yeah, I'm really keen. I don't really need to know much more. I don't think there's a teaser trailer or a trailer for any of the movies I picked. No. As far as I'm aware. So, I've gone for wild ones. But yeah, Chicken Run, Dawn Nugget. Maybe when I saw this pop up, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot they announced that. A while back, a year or 2 ago, whenever they announced they were making this. So, now I'm like, cool, if I can get to watch Chicken Run at some stage this year. I have to do a Chicken Run rewatch. It's been a few years.
Yep. My number 3 is the animated film Nimona. This is the based on the graphic novels by N.D. Stevenson. It follows a shapeshifter who joins... what's the description that Netflix actually gave?
Is this the Chloe Grace Moretz one? Or is that different?
Yes, I think she voices the...
Then yes, I know what you're talking about.
Yes. So she's a knight. A knight is framed for a crime he didn't commit, and the only person who can prove his innocence is Nimona, a shape-shifting teen who might also be a monster he's sworn to kill. So yeah, this is a project that was saved from it being cancelled by Disney, now picked up by Netflix. Yeah, it looks really good. There's obviously a property that has a massive fan following. It looks really coolly animated. So that is one that I'm keen to check out later this year. Dylan, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is Rebel Moon, the upcoming Zack Snyder film, which is basically a reworked idea that he had for a Star Wars movie. It's that part's intriguing to me, but also just Zack Snyder, very hit and miss, I guess. But when I like a Zack Snyder movie, I'm down for a good Zack Snyder movie. I've admitted this a lot of times. I like a lot of his things. More so than most people. I'm not part of his weird cult, but I do like his movies when they work. So And his take on a Star Wars-like universe and movie, that's also, he's talked about it being like heavily inspired by Seven Samurai and all that sort of stuff. I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, I'm fucking down. I think we're supposed to have a trailer releasing sometime soon. I think this week, or a teaser trailer or something. So I love the cast, of course. A lot of really good people in the cast here. So yeah, I'm keen to learn more about this one. Hopefully it's good.
My number one is Rebel Moon. For all the reasons you just said, I think I enjoyed, for the most part, the what was it? Dawn? No, what of the Dead? Army of the Dead?
No, whatever.
I want to say.
But, yeah.
That was enjoyable enough. But yeah, I think it's cool that he's doing some sort of new project. I think obviously clearly inspired by a pitch that he had to Star Wars. Great cast. And its time slot being at the December, it seems like that's like kind of their big blockbuster prestige period. Yeah. So that kind of bodes well as well. So Dylan, what's your number two? No, what's your number one?
My number. Oh, we're fucking just gone. You're like, what's your
Sorry,
number?
I threw it out, but I have a feeling we might have the same 1 and 2 again.
You reckon? My number 2 is David Fincher's
number 1.
The Killer.
My number 2 was David Fincher's The Killer.
Sorry, my number 1 is David Fincher's The
yes.
Killer. Your number 2 is David Fincher's The Killer. Fucking, that's crazy they worked out, because there was like a bunch of stuff on that list. So. Yes. My reasons are, it's a David Fincher movie about someone killing people.
It's a David Fincher film starring Michael Fassbender about an assassin fighting against his bosses and shit.
Yeah. Based
on a French graphic novel.
That's all I need to know. Like, I mean, really, you could just left it.
It's a David Fincher.
It's David Fincher's new movie. I'm like, cool. Yeah. That's enough to get me excited. That's all I really need to know. So.
All right. Well, that's our top 3. Let us know your top 3. Netflix movies are releasing in 2023 by going to explosion.com/Twitter or jump to Discord at explosion.com/Discord. If you want to help us out or what do you want to watch, if you're glad to have us back in 2023, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or on Podchaser, or, write something nice on social media, or just tell people about the show. And if you've enjoyed this, I think it's record length episode of What Do You Want to Watch, I think it's worth $1, head on over to our coach page at explosion.com/support. Thank you very much for listening. Until next time, keep watching stuff, I guess.